shade of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, when he was in the lineup, the Tabbies were 6-3 and gave up just 25 points per game. But since he suffered a dislocated elbow back in late August, it's been all downhill for Hamilton. They have lost 4 of their last 5, and their defense has given up a whopping 37 points per game. So while the Ticats will have to wait at least another week for their MVP to return, Coach Don Southern knows if they're going to turn it around, his defense can't rest. While the Hamilton D has struggled, the Ticat passing game has not. Today, they are on the verge of a milestone. Earl Winfield already has over 1,000 yards receiving this season, and Larry Thompson needs just 3 yards to reach the millennium mark. If he gets it, they'll be just the third 1,000-yard duo in Hamilton history. Meanwhile, Forest Greg's Shreveport Pirates have lost 5 straight games, but they have some big play receivers of their own in Wayne Walker, Freeman Basinger, and Curtis Mayfield. Today, they're looking to get back into the win column against the Ticats.
CFL Live, today's game from Independence Stadium, the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Shreveport Pirates.
Hi everyone and welcome to the CFL Live on TSN. I'm Darren DeTitian. We're glad you joined us this afternoon for the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Shreveport Pirates. A playoff spot at this point in time was thought to be a formality for the Ticats. After all, just 3 weeks ago, they were 7-4 and putting pressure on the Eskimos and Lions. But 3 consecutive losses have pushed the Tabbies from being trouble in the north to a team trying to straighten itself out. Don Southern believes it all starts with a renewed running game. Under Dieter Brock, the Tabbies love to throw the ball. Now they're looking for that mix that makes a competitive football team come the fall. Southern's hoping Kalen Hall, who had just 6 carries in his last 5 games, will be the answer. Meanwhile, he's one of the most underrated players in the CFL. The Pirates, Martin Patton, is 3rd in the league in rushing with almost 850 yards and 12 touchdowns scored. The Ticats will have to shut him down. More on the Ticats. Here's Leif Pedersen and John Wells in Shreveport.
Darren, the last time we saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they were 7-4 and shooting for 2nd spot in the CFL North. All of a sudden, they've lost 3 in a row and are fighting to hang on to 4th place.
John, I think there's a real sense of urgency for the Hamilton Tiger Cats today for a couple of reasons. Number one, what you mentioned, they need to break that losing slump. And number 2, they really control their own destiny. They have 4 games remaining. If they win 2 of those 4, they automatically qualify for the playoffs. And you'd have to think a game against Shreveport today is one of those wins they're counting on, and maybe that game coming up against Ottawa. So for Hamilton, this is a huge game.
Now, for the Pirates, the playoffs are a thing of the past. What do you think of Billy Joe Tolliver? 11 losses on this season. Is he the quarterback that's going to help?
Well, I think he really is. You know, it's time to give him a report card after 15 games, and I think he's played really well. He is a typical NFL-type quarterback, and he throws the timing patterns well, the short patterns well. He needs work on the long passing game, but they've built a nice running game in Shreveport here to complement Billy Joe Tolliver. So, yes, I think he's the quarterback of the future, but they need a solid number 2 guy next year, too.
It's a sunny 77 degrees in Shreveport this afternoon. Perfect afternoon for short-sleeve football.
Hey, thanks very much, guys. It has been an extremely tough year for the Pirates. For the 2nd consecutive season, they are going to miss the playoffs, although they have made some strides in becoming a respectable team. One of the reasons, Bjorn Nitmo, 33 of 38 field goals this year, including 2 55-yarders. Larry Thompson needs just 3 yards to hit the 1,000-yard mark. He, along with Earl Winfield, would become only the 3rd tandem in Ticat history to both have over 1,000 yards. And Eric Carter, what a season he's having. The Ticat back leads the league with 9 interceptions. Time now for the opening kickoff. Let's head down to Shreveport as John and Leif are standing by. And gentlemen, you mentioned just how important this game is for Hamilton.
They're not critical, but rather important for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. With 4 games to play, they need 2 wins are a combination of Winnipeg and Saskatchewan losses to clinch the 4th playoff spot. Don Southern has seen his team lose 3 straight games after sailing along to that 7-4 record as they headed to BC against the Lions. And Forrest Gregg has had another one of those seasons in Canadian football. This is his 3rd season in the CFL, 2nd with the Shreveport Pirates. And remember back to 1979 when he was the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts.
You know, although this is a 4-11 team here in Shreveport, it's a better team than it was a year ago. The personnel's better. They've lost a lot of close games, and you know, anybody playing them will say, yeah, they don't have the record to show it, but they give you a tough game every time, and I know that's the way Hamilton feels about this one.
Bjorn Nitmo has it underway, coming down to Sam Rogers just inside his 20. He's taken one all the way back for a touchdown this season. He's out to the 35 this time. Today's starting lineups brought to you by Mr. Sub. Fresh thinking is what we are. And Steve Taylor gets the call at quarterback for the 2nd straight week. Taylor has 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, including 2 ICs last week. The offensive line is the same as it's been except for 1 game this season. Great wide receivers with Larry Thompson and Earl Winfield. And Kalen Hall is back to run the football for the Tiger Cats after missing last week. Ticats begin with a 1st down just across the 35. There's room for Kalen Hall out across the 50. Pirates defense, same group up front with Williams and Rogers and a pretty solid front 4. The linebackers a bit of a problem with Anthony Shelton starting outside, and Carlton Johnson and Brandon Hamilton face a test on the corners in this one against the Tiger Cats today.
And one of the big changes is Anthony Shelton moving from middle safety to the outside linebacking spot. He's only 6'1", 195 pounds, and I know the Ticats feel that like they can maybe run against this linebacking core, and they had success on their first rush.
A gain of 17 as Taylor goes to the air. He's on target. And down inside the 10-yard line. Ball squirted loose and right into the hands of Larry Thompson. They ruled it a touchdown to Larry Thompson, picking up after Matty Hazard lost the ball. It rolled right to Larry Thompson. And the Ticats have scored on their first drive one more time. That's the 8th time in 15 games the Tiger Cats have scored on their opening drive.
And when they score first, their success rate is really good. They're 5-3 in that department. And you know, when you use that kind of a formation that Hamilton loves with the trips to the wide side, oftentimes you get that favorable matchup backside. Able to do that with Kalen Hall down the seam, and Shreveport wasn't close.
7-0 for the Tiger Cats on a quick score with a bit of a break. And a lucky bounce to Larry Thompson. Ticats on top of the Pirates, 7-0 early in the opening quarter in Shreveport. Kalen Hall looks a little dejected on the sidelines because he dropped the ball after making a 55-yard reception, but the Ticats carried on into the end zone regardless as Larry Thompson picked it up and took it the rest of the way.
And you're going to get a good look at Kalen Hall splitting the seam down the weak side, and that's what the formation did. They overloaded to the wide side, and then you hope you get this backside. Kalen Hall with his 51st catch, and see what kind of a contribution he's made. And you know, Ticats need a lucky break here to begin the game. Larry Thompson with the fumble recovery and the touchdown. But for a team who's struggled, all of a sudden you get your #1 back in the game, and he makes an impact play right away. Steve Taylor gets off to a good start with the pass completion, and you get the lucky break with Larry Thompson. I mean, that's 3 good things on one play, and Hamilton's off to a great start.
Everything went right on that play for the Tiger Cats. As they prepare to kick off, Travis Cozart is deep, number 24. And he takes it at the 15. Out across the 35 to the 37. As Billy Joe Tolliver trots out onto the field with the Pirates offense, he has started every game but one for Shreveport in 1995. Ranked 7th among regular season CFL quarterbacks. The offensive line pretty well intact again in week 15. 40 sacks allowed in the first 14 games. And Wayne Walker and Curtis Mayfield evenly matched outside receivers, with Martin Patton the 3rd best rushing back in the league with 897 yards to carry the ball. 1st and 10 Pirates Out across the 35, little play action. Tolliver goes to the far side, and he has Norman Bradford. Bradford is up near the 55. Defensively for the Tiger Cats, another change up front with Sam Hairston in for Jesse Small on the injured list this week. Tim Brown makes his 6th straight start in the middle for Michael O'Shea at middle linebacker. Secondary lines up as usual. Greer and Carter superb on the corners.
Yeah, Carter with 9 interceptions leading the league. He's having an unbelievable season, and he's learned that little talent about how to lay off receivers, make the quarterback think they're open, and then come up with some timely interceptions.
An 18-yard gain setting the Pirates up at midfield, and this one is picked off, intended for Basinger, and grabbed by Don Robinson, number 16. Robinson's 3rd interception of the season. And Robinson looks like he's taking the ball for a souvenir.
Well, it almost looked like Tolliver threw behind Basinger. Basinger cutting back to the quarterback, and pretty easy interception for Don Robinson. That's the 26th interception by that Ticat secondary this year, which is 2nd in the league. Last year they led the league in interceptions, and of course they have a chance to do that again. But again, another break.
Ticats beginning at the 55, and Kalen Hall, number 24, for a couple this time. 6 yards for Hall as he gets back into the lineup after missing last week and a couple of games before that.
Those numbers translate into 4.9 yards a carry, so you would think with that kind of an average they could have some success on the ground, although it just hasn't been a focal point for Hamilton. But now with Mike Faragelli as their offensive coordinator, they're looking more that way.
This time Taylor will pass. He'll have the first down to Manny Hazard, but there's a marker down in the Ticat backfield, and it looks like Reggie Rogers offered a bit of a late hit on Taylor. Ticat should get a first down regardless, and a few yards added on. Don Ellis in charge of proceedings.
Major foul, roughing the passer, Shreveport number 75. First down.
And John, here's where you have to have a little discipline. Reggie Rogers beats the block of the left guard, Blaine Schmidt. Here he is up at the top, and as he comes in, the ball is clearly left the hand of Steve Taylor. And this was, here he's saying, hey, I beat the block, I'm going to get a sack, but you've got to have discipline and leave that quarterback alone. Now, hey, he didn't try and kill him, but you got to lay off the quarterback, and Don Ellis and his crew are going to call that today. So you complete the ball, you get another 15, and all of a sudden Hamilton's got the march going.
Translates to a 28-yard gain for the Tiger Cats, setting Hamilton up just outside the 20. Little heat on Taylor. Eludes the first rush. Can he get away from another charge from the Pirates? Fired it where no one was, and a marker is down. And was it intentionally grounding the ball, or was it Rogers again on Taylor?
I don't think there's any question that's intentional grounding. There wasn't a late hit. Taylor, he knows what he wants to do. He wants to get rid of it. And he's pointing to a guy.
Hamilton number 9.
That's a good call, because there was nobody within 20 yards in that area. And, you give Steve Taylor credit. I mean, that's the right play to make. But he just couldn't find a guy close enough to make it look legitimate. The pressure coming in, on the outside. Here comes Ray Savage. Johnny Scott, 72, is going to close down. And now the run. This is why Taylor's the starting quarterback. He can buy himself some extra time, but I don't know if you're going to get an accurate look at it here, but there was nobody.
No one in a white jersey.
No.
Lots of Pirates in the neighborhood. 2nd and 24 Ticats at the Shreveport 35. Taylor operating from the shotgun under the cover, and a little short intended for Frank Maroff, number 82.
Frank Maroff missed the last couple of games, back in the lineup now. And, you look at one of the problems for the Ticats offensively. Yes, they've turned over the ball too many times, but they've had to shuffle personnel so many times. Maroff was the starting slot back at the beginning of the year. He goes out for 6 games. He comes back in, then he goes out. I mean, Manny Hazard's been in and out. Larry Thompson's only been here half the year. So people forget. I mean, this is a receiving corps that has changed almost weekly, and that's tough for young quarterbacks.
Kerrigan will put it down just outside the 40, and Osbaldiston has plenty on the field goal. Paul Osbaldiston connecting on his 27th field goal of the season, and the Ticats have scored on their first 2 offensive series. It's 10-0 as we send you back to Darren.
Hey, thanks very much, John. It was a big game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders this afternoon, wrapping up a home-and-home with the Baltimore Stallions. Saskatchewan led by a count of 17-0 at one point in time. They were up by a single point, time running out. Carlos Huerta, he'll hit the field goal from 21 yards. The Stallions pull it out 29-27. Saskatchewan remains tied for the final playoff spot in the North with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Let's go back to Shreveport.
Well, that's good news for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who are trying to stay ahead of Saskatchewan in the race for the fourth playoff spot. Gain of a couple for Martin Patton, averaging 5.2 yards a carry, and he's pretty close to that on this. Mark it as a 5-yard gain for Patton.
He's done a lot of things well. That 847 represents third in the league in rushing totals, and the touchdowns with 12 is second. So he's given this offense an enormous contribution.
2nd and 5 Pirates, some early movement, and that draws a flag. Tolliver may have a free one here. For Patton, he couldn't hang on. Coverage by Hitchcock, number 42. Hitchcock started a couple of games at safety for the Tiger Cats, and now he's the right side linebacker.
And Keith Embry was the man who jumped offside. I don't know if you could hear on the field microphones, it seemed like Billy Joe Tolliver really changed the voice level in his cadence, and as soon as he gave it the big hut, 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 oh, Keith Embry jumped offside. He just couldn't help himself. That's what those quarterbacks, they do that sneaky stuff to you. They change that voice level, and you know, the defensive linemen, they get edgy. 2nd and 5, they're thinking big pass rush. So they're measuring right now to see if that penalty would, in fact, pick up a first down before they make that decision.
Okay, Don, we got her set.
I don't know why they do that anyway. You're going to take the penalty. Why don't I take the penalty, then bring the sticks out? But maybe they want to make that measurement so accurate. Let's just go over to the sidelines and do it.
Well, it was 2nd and 5, but maybe a little less than 5. That's what the indication is there.
Offside. Hamilton, number 98. 2nd down repeated.
Mike Campbell they're talking about, but there was an early movement on both players there too. Keith Embry and Mike Campbell, 98 and 96. And that'll be an easy first down for the Pirates, trailing the Tiger Cats 10-0 with 9:13 to go in the opening quarter at Shreveport.
Interesting, they changed quarterbacks for that 3rd down gamble and bring Mike Pulaski in, and you know, as a better runner than maybe Billy Joe Tolliver, so look for that for the rest of the day. Well, you look at how both teams like to get the job done. Obviously, Hamilton likes to throw the ball a little bit more. They've become under criticism. Shreveport, much more balanced offense.
Tolliver puts it up most of the time, keeps it on the ground here. And out near the 50-yard line for another 5-yard pickup.
John, one of the things that Hamilton really wants to do this afternoon on defense is to try and force Shreveport to throw the ball on 2nd down. So that means they've got to have them in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 7 situations. So they really are going to pinch down the middle on that defensive front line to try and stuff up that run and make Billy Joe Tolliver beat them through the air. And now they can bring the nickel back in Sam Rogers because they got an automatic passing down.
Patton picked up 4. This is 2nd and 6. Tolliver with time, swings it to Bradford, coming out of the backfield, and he can't get away from Rob Hitchcock. Solid play by Rob Hitchcock, number 42.
You know, in weeks gone past, John, we talked about how defensive players break down to make a tackle. Watch Rob Hitchcock in his pass coverage. He's going to get out here, and when he comes up, watch how he breaks down and gathers himself so he can come up and be in a good tackling position to make the play on Norman Bradford. Now watch this. The feet are squared apart. The feet keep moving, moving. There's no place for Bradford to go. That is a textbook tackle for a guy who's really a defensive back forced into playing the linebacker position, and that was an awesome play.
Here's Robbie Keane on 3rd down. Pretty good kick for Sam Rogers at the 20. And he might have got 4 yards on the return as he's fired back after a 36-yard punt. It's been all Ticats so far, and they'll have the ball once more when we return live to Shreveport.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you by Pepsi. Nothing else is a Pepsi. And by Bell, Advantage long-distance services from the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies.
Don Southern's Hamilton Tiger Cats have scored in the opening 2 drives for a 10-0 lead on the Pirates as the Ticats try and get a more solid lock on 4th spot in the CFL North with a record of 7 wins and 7 losses. And Baltimore wins at 29-27 over Saskatchewan, so they'll be smiling a bit in the Ticat room at halftime. Hamilton first down out across the 25. Make it the 27-yard line. This is Steve Taylor, and that's Kalen Hall caught from behind by Joe Monford, number 45, and Zingo, 39, is also in on the tackle. It's Chris Zingo. He's been on and off the roster and the practice roster in Shreveport all season.
Well, you see Larry Thompson today with a chance. His first catch will obviously get him over that 1,000-yard mark, along with his teammate Earl Winfield. A nice accomplishment for that Hamilton receiving corps to have, too. Of course, Larry Thompson got a lot of those yards in the first few games he spent with Saskatchewan at the beginning of the year.
But he's picked up 709 since joining the Tiger Cats. The fake to Hall as Taylor goes to his left, throwing on the run. Lee Knight out near the 40. And that'll be enough for a Ticat first down with no markers anywhere.
Taylor's pass is complete.
And again, the dimension that Steve Taylor gives the Hamilton offense that maybe Anthony Cavillo doesn't is that ability to run the counters, the bootlegs, and to scramble around and beat the pass rush. Ray Savage had him in his sights, but Taylor bought the extra time and got it to Lee Knight, who's had a terrific year catching the football. 36 catches for him. Boy, if you like a blue-collar guy, you gotta love Lee Knight.
Now at the 39, Ticats with another first down. And Taylor with time has Knight again. He's halfway to a first down out near the 45 and surrounded by Pirates down there. Harold Nash, 0-0 was there, along with Chris Zingo. Gotta like the way Lee Knight plays football. 37 receptions on the season now. 7 yards here.
Well, he doesn't get to carry it. He's still looking for his first carry as a fullback, so he's in there for blocking and receiving purposes, and he's got some terrific hands for football. That's the second solid catch he's made, and he's averaging almost 12 yards a carry, so he gives you production.
Shotgun for Taylor now on 2nd and 3. There are markers down. Taylor to Winfield, first catch of the day. And finally wrestled back.
Taylor's pass is complete to Winfield.
That's Carlton Johnson, number 19, covering on Winfield. He looked to have 6 yards before he was thrown back.
Well, one of the things Steve Dennis, their defense coordinator, said is that we have to stop Earl Winfield. In the games against Hamilton, he's absolutely killed us. So we're going to have to give him some tight coverage, some roll-up coverage to try and take him out of the game.
Offside. Shreveport, number 19. Decline. First down.
He was offside and still couldn't stop Winfield from gaining 6.
Well, Earl working back to the quarterback, and you know that is solid coverage, but when you get up and bump and run as a corner, you still have to look back inside, so you give yourself that yard.
Kalen Hall away from the first wave of tacklers, breaks through, and he's out across the 45. Solid game for Kalen Hall already. Had a 55-yard reception that ended up in a touchdown for the Tiger Cats. 17 more yards for his total now.
When Kalen Hall gets into the secondary, he's tough. 39, the middle linebacker, Chris Zingo, can't make the play, but, you know, Kalen Hall never stops those feet moving, and that's the reason why he was able to have success on that run. And, you know, initially jammed up, but somehow he got through there.
4th carry for 39 yards for Hall. Here's Winfield trying to make it to a first down. He's about a yard shy on the near side. Super season again for Earl Winfield. He's 5th in receiving yards with 1179, 5th in receptions with 71.
And 3rd in touchdowns with 10. I mean, talk about production. Every 7 times he catches the football coming into this game, he scores a touchdown. I don't think you can ask for much more from your wide receiver. Seems like always when the game's on the line, it's Earl Winfield they go to. Not surprising. He's able to come up and make the big plays.
And over 1,000 yards for the 3rd straight season. Picked up 9 in the previous play, making this 2nd and 1. Easily converted by Kalen Hall off the right side. Hall picks up 4.
Hall, the ball carrier.
Ticats offense has looked very, very solid this afternoon.
Well, they've simplified the offense, John. When Mike Faragelli took over, he felt like in the passing game there were too many pass patterns that had too many adjustments to them. The receivers having to do far too much thinking. So they've taken a lot of the adjustments away. If you're running an out, you run an out. You don't maybe think hook. So they've simplified the passing game just enough that everybody seems to understand their role a little better.
This is Taylor on the 8th play of this drive. He has time and an open target. It's Winfield again. Had the feet taken out from under him by Carlton Johnson. And Winfield has another 18.
And this is a scheme to free up Earl Winfield on the backside. You got 4 receivers strong and just Earl Winfield on the backside. Now he just goes down and tries to find an open area, make himself a good target for Steve Taylor. And you know, when you have 4 receivers wide and Earl's the only guy backside, you have a lot of field to work with it.
Taylor now got on 7 of 8 for 122 yards and the 1 touchdown. He has a 1st down at the 12, and the play whistled down. Offside is the indication, and we'll hear that from Don Ellis.
Procedure.
Procedure call.
Hamilton number 66. Repeat the 1st down.
So that's Blaine Schmidt moving a little ahead of the snap.
Yeah, he did jump a little bit early, and now when you get down to the red zone, I mean, you don't want to make mistakes like these. You get down at scoring distance, you know, 1st and 10's a lot better than this 1st and 15, and those are just mental mistakes that you kind of have to eliminate. Hamilton's been bothered with turnovers and mental mistakes down here lately.
It's 1st down repeated, 15 yards necessary for the Tiger Cats. Taylor looks for Manny Hazard, and he's back to just across the original line of scrimmage.
Taylor's pass is complete to Manny Hazard.
That's Taylor's 8th completion in 9 attempts.
Catfish King now has 2 Shreveport Bossier.
That's one of the problems the Shreveport secondaries had to endure this year. Teams are completing about 62% of their passes against this secondary. So, you know, Steve Taylor, I mean, he's a quarterback that would look at those statistics and say, well, I can have a good day against this secondary. And already he's only missed 1 pass. He's 8 for 9, and Shreveport's making it look pretty easy. They're laying off Winfield all of a sudden, letting him have room and letting Manny Hazard have some room. And Steve Taylor's all of a sudden 8 for 9 against a secondary that's very willing to let you complete a lot of balls against it.
Manny Hazard is the injured Tiger Cat, getting back into the lineup this week with an injury to Barry Rose. And Hazard a little upset at the injury coming at this point.
See if we can see what happens at the end. Every time you do that spin move, you're a little vulnerable, and Carlton Johnson takes him to the turf. Tough to tell right there what might have happened, but the way Manny Hazard's leaving the field, I suspect it won't be long before he's back in.
Played for the Argos for a time and was in the Birmingham camp in 1995. Missed 3 this season on the injury list and a couple of games on the practice roster in Hamilton.
You know, in 1993 with Toronto, he had 61 catches for over 1,000 yards, so that's a guy you always kind of want to take a look at. You're not sure why his production drops off, but Hamilton's been willing to take a look, and he's played well.
On 2nd and 5, Taylor looks to the 1-yard line. Richard Nurse was the intended receiver.
And a lot of teams have picked against Harold Nash, number 00, when they've been down in scoring territory. I'll get that one out. And this time, Steve Taylor did just that with Richard Nurse on Harold Nash, but Nash was up with solid coverage, and really there was no way to complete that ball.
Osbaldiston hit from 42 yards out a few moments ago. Good on 27 of 39 on the season, 68% of his field goal tries.
I asked Paul, he's not punting today with Hank Olisic, and he's not kicking off. Are you bothered by the cut and workload? And he said, yes, I was, but you know, maybe my field goal kicking, all I do is concentrate on that. I'll have a good day doing that, and he's off to a nice start.
And a 14-yarder for Paul Osbaldiston in a drive that took 6 minutes and gives the Tiger Cats A 13-0 lead.
I'd like to recognize today's 38 players.
Manny Hazard shaken up in the last drive, walking it off on the Ticat sidelines. It's Hamilton on top, 13-0, with about a minute and a half left to go in the opening quarter in Shreveport. 77 degrees on the old scale when this game began, and a very light breeze. Perfect afternoon for football in Louisiana. Billy Joe Tolliver has yet to hit the end zone or get the Pirates on the scoreboard. Struggled a bit last week against Baltimore as well. 11 of 21 for 175 yards, and he tossed a couple of interceptions.
Well, you can see how Hamilton has really dominated this first quarter, 13-0, and one of the reasons why they've had the ball a heck of a long time.
Pirates beginning at the 35 as Tolliver goes back to the shotgun and is on target for Mayfield on the far side. Quickly surrounded. Eric Carter, the left cornerback, was the first Tiger Cat there.
I think if you look at Shreveport, maybe one of the disappointments this year has been Curtis Mayfield. He's played in every game for Shreveport, and yet this is only his 48th catch of the year. I think when they, signed him as a free agent, they expected that he would be one of those guys that could really dominate the league like he did a year ago with Las Vegas with so many touchdown receptions, but it just hasn't worked out that way. I know he's a lot better than his numbers indicate.
He had 12 touchdowns with a posse last season. 2nd and 2 for Tolliver. Markers are down, and Tolliver is on target for Wayne Walker on the far side, number 80. Forced out by Gary Lewis, 17. Walker spent a little time with the Ottawa Rough Riders in '93 and played 16 games with the Pirates last season. Almost a local guy out of Texas Tech.
He's one of those kinds of receivers that can lull you to sleep, and before you know it, he's by you for a long one.
Illegal procedure. Shreveport number 80. Repeat the second down.
Well, he got a jump on it that time. It was Walker.
He didn't lull the officials into sleep because they caught him for procedure, and what would have been a first down, it plays right now into Hamilton's hands with the game plan that they had on defense. They've got Shreveport in 2nd long, 2nd and 7, and again they can bring that nickel back in, Sam Rogers, and cover everybody and just rush 3 people up front.
From 2nd and 2, it's 2nd and 7. Part of the Pirates' problem all season. Tolliver, and he had a man open, but Fred Montgomery couldn't bring it in.
So you see the little things that give the Shreveport Pirates difficulty. You have a first down, all of a sudden you lose it by penalty, and you can't convert on 2nd and long. Should have been a catchable ball right here by Fred Montgomery. I'm not sure he would have had the first down, but nevertheless, those little things, all of a sudden the drive is killed, and you've got to give the ball away when you've hardly had the ball at all here in the first quarter.
Robbie Keane standing just inside his 25. Rogers is the key returner for the Tiger Cats, number 31. High kick by Keane. Sam Rogers lost it. And let's see who came up with the football. It looks like the Tiger Cats got it right back. It rolled right back to Rogers. No celebration by the Pirates down there, so it'll stand as a 48-yard punt on the last play of the opening quarter. Rogers misjudged it, and luckily he got it back. It's been all Hamilton so far. Ticats scored on the opening drive and have added 2 field goals since. To begin the second quarter, the Ticats have a 13-0 lead, and they have the ball back. They have monopolized the clock so far in this game and marched for a 57-yard touchdown. Added a couple of Paul Osbaldiston field goals. From the 26, it's first down, and Taylor lost the handle on the football. Looks like the Tiger Cats have it right back. Could have been costly as Taylor bobbled the exchange.
One of the problems Hamilton had in the meeting against the Shreveport Pirates in Hamilton earlier in the year was, pass protection. Shreveport ran a lot of stunts up front, and one of the things they really like to do was to take Reggie Rogers here, Johnny Scott down inside, and Reggie Rogers on that loop. And, if you feel like watching the pit today, that's one of the stunts that Shreveport loves to do and that Hamilton's going to have to pick up.
On 2nd and 12, Taylor goes to the far side, and the catch is made by Manny Hazard. Took a pretty good hit from Carlton Johnson, though. After making the catch, Manny's had a tough afternoon.
He's had a couple of good hits, but this is what you can do when you sit back in his zone. Carlton Johnson leaving his man, just reading the quarterback, and he's able to come up, read the pass play, and unload on Manny Hazard, keep him short of that first down. But when you sit back and are able to look into the backfield, that's the kind of play you can make.
That's a big defensive play for the Pirates, forcing the Tiger Cats into a quick punting situation. They haven't done that before this afternoon.
No, they're going to get it back in pretty good field position, too.
And look who's back, Hank Alisic. They need some Hank time, and Alisic is back on the roster. This isn't a high kick, however. An effective return by Will Covington. Covington out across midfield with a 25-yard return after Alisic's 38-yard punt. Numbers from the opening quarter: 161 net yards for the Tiger Cats to 38, and the time of possession, as we talked about, is key.
Boy, there's all kinds of stuff in here. I mean, you get that one turnover, that cost Shreveport 3 points there. And good field position here for this turn by Covington. And, Alisic was in there to get hang time. He kicked that thing so low it barely got over the line.
Tolliver on first down, looks to throw, has a man coming out of the backfield.
That's a good read by Billy Joe Tolliver. If they're going to drop off like Hamilton loves to, dump it off. And Rob Hitchcock getting a chance to play the outside linebacker spot. He's a local Hamilton guy from Glendale High School, went down to Weber State. And at Weber State, he kind of played what they call that monster position. You're not really a defensive back, you're not really a linebacker, in between. So this is not an unfamiliar spot for him to play.
Travis Cozart with his first catch of the ball game. 2nd and short now, 2nd and 2. Cozart gets a carry, and there's nowhere to go. Might have grabbed 1 yard.
Cozart's the ball carrier. David Wilkins on the tackle for Hamilton. Just a reminder, the official travel agency of the Shreveport.
Pretty good hit on Cozart.
David Wilkins, number 93, defensive end out of the Indianapolis Colts camp, who is back in the lineup now, getting his first taste of some action, gets the nice penetration and makes the play on Cozart in the backfield. And for a team that rushes the ball well, that's kind of deflating not to be able to pick up that first down on 2nd and short.
Actually, there was no gain on 2nd and 2. So Forrest Gregg decides to take the safe 3, sending Bjorn Nitmo out there, and this is pretty safe. Nitmo hitting on 86% of his field goal tries. Second best percentage in the league, and this will be spotted at the 45. Nitmo has the distance, and he has the Pirates' first 3 points. Set up perfectly for Bjorn Nitmo to get his first 3 points of the afternoon. 34th field goal and a perfect hold for Nitmo. Perfectly hit from 45 yards away.
CFL Live, brought to you in part by 3M Canada. Imagining the unthinkable and developing the unknown. That's 3M Innovation at Work.
Welcome back to Shreveport with the Ticats. Hang on to the lead. It's been cut to 10 points now on a 45-yard Bjorn Nitmo field goal. Don Southern's Tiger Cats opened with 3 straight scoring drives, 1 touchdown, a couple of field goals by Paul Osbaldiston. Ticats from the 35 on first down. And the play whistled down. Richardson might have moved a little early on a procedure situation there.
Illegal procedure. Hamilton number 51. Still first down.
That is Dave Richardson, in fact. Schmidt had a similar problem a couple of moments ago. It's 1st and 15 again.
Steve Taylor with an awesome start. One of the things he said he'd like to do is to get Larry Thompson involved in the offense early. Felt like that really helps his game, but Thompson has yet to catch a ball.
Although he does have a touchdown when he picked up the fumble and took it in. Looking long, and Thompson spotted that time by Steve Taylor. And as you said, he went looking. Close coverage, but no flag.
Close coverage by Brandon Hamilton. You watch, he's going to get that left arm tucked nicely into Larry Thompson when the ball is in the air. Watch left arm now. It gets tucked in perfectly. Now, you know, is that interference? Is it a little hand fighting? I say just let him play.
It was hardly flagrant.
Dude, let him play.
2nd and 15.
You know, talking about Larry Thompson, Steve Taylor felt like if you don't get him involved early, sometimes you can lose him, and he has yet to catch a ball.
Taylor had to get it away in a hurry, and it was almost picked off. Reggie Rogers almost had an interception there. Number 75 didn't have the hands to catch the football.
Well, sometimes you always don't get that great pass rush. Here's Reggie Rogers right in the middle. Now, he's not going to get the great penetration, but sometimes good things happen anyway. And he almost gets the interception. See, he's stuffed pretty good at the line of scrimmage and looking for that screen. Can't see him there, but he had a chance to make a great interception there.
And the pressure was provided by number 96, Keith Embree.
You know, you felt like Shreveport almost needs something like that to happen to get him back into this one.
Well, they've stopped the Tiger Cats twice in a row. And Will Covington sets up decent field position for the Pirates with a 5-yard return after a 33-yard punt by Elisic.
Now let's go back once again. It's a good look at Reggie Rogers right here. Here's Kalen Hall. When Kalen Hall sneaks out there, Reggie Rogers is thinking the same thing. Screen pass, you know, that's something you just kind of sense. So he drops off, and whoa, he'll be going to practice now, working on his catching a little bit, because he should have maybe had one there.
Pirates 1st and 10. Beginning at the 52, Tolliver's shotgun. Has time and has Freeman Basinger, who squirted away from the first wave of Ticat tacklers, led by number 52, Tim Brown.
Roger Hennig on the tackle.
First catch by Basinger, Leaf.
Well, Basinger's a guy that gives you great production in your return game, kickoffs and punt returns. He can let you down a little bit sometimes as a slot back. He'll make some great catches, and all of a sudden, for some reason, he'll drop the easy one. But, you know, when a guy gives you that much and you have limited rosters in the kick return game, you have to always take a chance with him as a wide receiver as well.
2nd and 4. Tolliver can't find a receiver, takes off himself. He doesn't do it often, but it worked that time. He had enough for the first down.
And that's something a quarterback can really do against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, because for the most part, they only like to rush 4 people and sometimes just 3. So if a quarterback sees a lane opening to run, you know, you'd like to take it. Now, Tolliver's not a great runner. He'd admit that, but, you know, he's good enough to get 5 yards when he gets through that first wave, and he does the only thing he can do to keep this drive going. There you see his numbers on the season. I mean, that's an average just slightly over 2. So you know that's not a focal point for him. He's not thinking about running.
Way over his average that time. He grabbed 7.
He'll be tired.
Setting the Pirates up at the 45. Tolliver will rest and look for a receiver this time. It's Mayfield. Made the catch and lost the ball hitting the ground. We'll see where they spot it. He's close to a first down.
Offensive line for Shreveport really doing a solid job, and they have to wait this long. Mayfield, you know, the pattern's over, but now he sees his quarterback in trouble, and the good thing he does is keep working back to the quarterback. And did you notice how far out in front he made that catch so Eric Carter can't get an arm around and knock it loose? Technically, that is a heck of a play by Curtis Mayfield.
And enough for a first down as the Pirates stand in the Ticat 35. Tolliver steps up, has Bradford sneaking out of the backfield, sneaking to the far side of the field. Finally surrounded by Tiger Cats. Down to the 17-yard line. Norman Bradford 34 receptions for 365 yards coming in. He has 18 there.
You asked me in the opening, is Billy Tolliver going to be the quarterback of the future? I think he is. If you see right here, Tim Brown's gone. Hassan Bailey's gone. These guys get out of there so quickly that you have to dump it off underneath. Hey, Tolliver, he wants to go downfield, but he makes the right move. He gives it to Bradford. Bradford has 10 yards before he comes close to anybody.
Deepest penetration by the Pirates inside the 20. And this is Patton. Hard running inside. He's got better than 5. Make it a 6-yard gain for Martin Patton.
And this is the first time that Shreveport's had any rhythm to their offense. They've mixed it up nicely, and when Billy Joe Tolliver's wanted to throw, his offensive line's given him good protection. He made the good read to get it to Bradford. He made a nice completion to Mayfield, and now all of a sudden you bang away with Patton. I mean, this is the kind of offense that we know Shreveport has, and they've finally been able to get it going now here in the second quarter.
Tolliver looking at 2nd and 4 inside the Hamilton 15. And he won't get this one away. Keith Embry, number 96, with his 3rd sack of the season. And that's the 41st given up by the Pirates.
He's working against Donnell Johnson, the biggest man in the Pirates, and this is nothing more than extra effort, because initially this is enough time for Billy Joe Tolliver to throw. I mean, the knockdown, he gets up and he still gets the sack, but that's one of those sacks you don't blame the offensive line. When it's a 3-5-step drop and you're doing chop blocking, the quarterback has to get rid of the ball, and that's not the offensive line's fault.
Robbie Keane hit from 45 yards a few moments ago. This will be spotted at the 27. I should say Bjorn Nitmo, number 16. And a marker down as Nitmo puts it through.
47-yard field goal attempt by Nitmo's good flag on the play.
No, it's 3rd and 12, so unless it's something really flagrant, it won't really matter. Well, it's on Shreveport too, so that will matter. That one will go back.
Bjorn Nitmo hit from 45, and we wait to find out what the problem is down there.
No penalty will be applied on the play. The field goal stands.
Well, I guess that was the problem. There is no penalty. Flag dropped in error. Back-to-back drives end in field goals for the Pirates, who are back in the ball game and trailing by just a touchdown. Robbie Keane and Bjorn Nitmo, a pretty good kicking combo for the Pirates. It's Keane holding here for Nitmo from 27 yards away.
Yeah, they're a nice group. Keane, second time, he's given him a nice hold and a nice spin.
Tie catch. Handed to Kalen Hall. Tripped up from behind by number 39, Chris Zingo.
John, you look at bright spots on this Shreveport team. Well, you know, like, get rid of that, get rid of that. This guy is now 35 of 40. How about that? That's not bad. And all of a sudden, that percent goes up to 87.5. So when you look at a team that struggled, this guy hasn't. He's given them a lot.
Coming into the game, Nitmo had the 2nd best percentage in the CFL. Tykat's looking at 2nd and 3. And Lee Knight makes the catch. He'll have a first down. Knight simply ran over one of the Pirates out there. Looks like Anthony Shelton, number 23.
And Lee Knight, most of the year in the trips formation that Hamilton is their base package, is the number 3 guy. So he gets the chance to catch a lot of underneath balls. He's a blue-collar kind of guy, and you have to love the way he plays, never complains, plays hurt, and doesn't get the glamour of getting to run with the football, but gets to catch it a lot and make a big contribution to this offense.
He's a real clutch guy. Great in any situation. Taylor looking at 1st and 10. Will he get it away? Not this time. The ball squirts loose. And the Pirates look like they might have recovered. Pirates are suggesting they have. Zingo coming up with it. Hang on, it's number 64, Ben Williams. Momentum in this game is changing just a little bit as the Pirates are set up almost in field goal range already on the fumble recovery by Ben Williams.
The left of your screen, you see Johnny Scott coming, and then it's Ray Savage who rips the ball loose. Ben Williams will recover. I mean, it's the front four of the Pirates that I've loved all season long. I mean, I know the team has struggled, but it still is a solid front four, and they get the big break with the turnover.
On the turnover, first down Pirates. At the 35, it's a long toss toward the end zone and grabbed by Roger Hennig, number 15.
Boy, the mistake really cost Shreveport. You know, it's 13-6. You just get the big turnover, and all of a sudden you have a chance to get right back into this one. And this ball is simply underthrown. Way Walker had position on Derek Greer, but the ball hung up, and the middle safety, Roger Hennig, was able to come over and make the interception.
Hennig just floated into the zone there, and it was an easy interception as Tolliver heads to the sidelines. He'd be anxious to have that one back. It's the Ticats by a touchdown. We're live from Louisiana. Yeah. Ticats have it right back on Roger Hennig's interception. Steve Taylor starting at the 25 to his right. And the pass is caught on the far side by Maroff. Somehow, Maroff came up with a catch. 25 yards for Maroff, and this is something to see again.
That's a great catch by Frank Maroff. He's back in the lineup after missing a couple of games, but Harold Nash had pretty good position. You'll see a nice action to get Taylor outside with good sight lines downfield, but watch Nash cut in front, and boy, that hand, I mean, I don't know how he missed it, but good concentration by Maroff, not only to make the catch, but to get up and run for a few more extra yards.
Quickly, the Tiger Cats are out at the 50. Taylor, shotgun, near side, Larry Thompson. Thompson is over 1,000 yards on this season when you add up his totals in Saskatchewan. And with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 5 yards for Thompson there.
So for Larry Thompson, an opportunity to move over the 1,000-yard mark for the season with that catch, his first of the ball game, and a good read by Steve Taylor. If you're going to give Larry Thompson and Earl Winfield that kind of room, that case Brandon Hamilton, you've got to throw those hitches. They're excellent first down plays.
Call it a gain of 6 for Thompson. 2nd and 4 for Taylor. On target, but Hazard couldn't hang on. Coverage by Harold Nash, 0-0.
So John, with Larry Thompson over 1,000 and Earl Winfield over 1,000, you go back and you see the last time the Ticats did it was in '86 with Tony Champion and Rocky DiPietro, and before that, old buddy of mine, Keith Baker, and Rocky DiPietro did it in 1982, but when you look at '86, you remember Tony Champion. Whenever I see his name, all I think about is the catch in the '89 Grey Cup that he made against Saskatchewan.
And it wasn't quite enough.
It wasn't enough.
But it set up a wild finish, or a terrific finish to that one at Skydome. Hank Alisic has not been getting it high, and the hang time Ticats were looking for. Covington on the return. So the Pirates get it back, and the North Division standings are like this, with the Calgary Stampeders home and cooled out and first place clinched. Edmonton in pretty solid shape in second spot, and the Ticats really just trying to solidify their hold on fourth spot ahead of Saskatchewan and Winnipeg.
Really today now with Saskatchewan and Winnipeg both having played 15 games, this is like the game in hand now, although Saskatchewan played today. So for the Ticats to move 6 points ahead of both those two teams, they really put a stranglehold on that fourth playoff spot.
Saskatchewan losing by a couple to Baltimore earlier. Pirates deep in their own zone. From the 23, it's Patton. Martin Patton averaging 5.2 yards a carry with 12 touchdowns along the ground. And over 850 yards in total. 4 yards there. Will Covington flank to the near side, number 83 on 2nd and 6 Pirates. Coming out of the shadows. Tolliver steps up, can't get it away. Second time he's been down so far this afternoon, and Samuel Hairston is there.
And they did it with a three-man pass rush, John. They went to the nickel back. Rogers comes in, and Samuel Hairston, who's getting a chance to play today for the injured Jesse Small. And here he is at the top of the screen working again on Donnell Johnson. And, you know, with that three-man rush, they get the job done. Solid coverage downfield with 9 people. And the inside move beats Donnell Johnson. And Samuel Hairston comes up with the sack. Now, he's called Samuel Hairston Sr. What do you think his 2-year-old son's called?
I would guess Junior.
You got it.
Hey, Sammy Jr. It's 13-6, and the Ticats have the lead.
You know, John, there's Samuel Hairston right there. And in the fact book, you know, they list things that players like or dislike. And one of his dislikes was obviously quarterbacks, and he dislikes cowards. So I don't know if there's some correlation there, but that's what Samuel Hairston Sr. said.
Well, there aren't very many cowards that last as quarterbacks, right?
Oh, I guess not. So if you're willing to stand there and take the punishment, Samuel Hairston Sr. likes you.
Good kick by Robbie Keane coming down near the 45 to Sam Rogers. The other Sam on this team, Anthony Shelton, leading the Pirate tacklers that time. 47-yard punt, a 5-yard return, and let's send you back to CFL control.
Hey, thanks very much, John. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, they took the punishment this afternoon. They took on the Baltimore Stallions. They could not come up with a victory. At McDonald's halftime, we'll have all the highlights for you. CFL news and notes, and also your thoughts, guys, on this first half and what has transpired thus far and what we suspect in the third and fourth quarter. Let's go back to Shreveport, to John and Leif. Guys?
Darren, initially Hamilton stormed out to a 13-0 lead, and all of a sudden they've kind of let Shreveport sneak back into this one, and you know, Hamilton has to pick up the pace a little bit.
Big sequence here for the Pirates defense as Taylor goes to work looking for Thompson. And that was Bobby Evans covering on Thompson that time. Ticats scored in the first three times they had the ball.
Boy, you see terrific coverage by Brandon Hamilton, who doesn't show a heck of a lot of respect for the deep speed of Larry Thompson, and he snugs up and gets in there and able to break up the play. And, you know, Hamilton early in the first quarter was getting a lot of good second down situations, and that has really faded into a lot of second and longs in a hurry.
And this is another one, 2nd and 10. Taylor in trouble. Almost got to a receiver on the far side, but it was tipped away as Taylor felt the pressure. Looking for Maroff.
And they get the pressure with their favorite stunt. Here's Ben Williams, and you get the outside guy coming down, and here comes old Ben Williams, and Hamilton's had an awful time trying to protect against this stunt this year. There you see it. Boom, the outside guy, Savage, takes 2 people, and Ben Williams comes free. And for some reason, the Hamilton offensive line just can't get that blocking scheme down, and Steve Taylor tries to complete a ball, but that's under a lot of pressure. But that's the stunt we showed you about earlier. It's the favorite one. They do it from both sides, and Shreveport seems to have a lot of success with it.
Alisic. It's not high again, and it's not deep. Pirates at the 35 draw a penalty. Covington was returning just a 26-yard punt, and they brought Alisic back into this lineup to get a little hang time on those punts.
No yards. Hamilton number 7. 5-yard application.
It's the new look in that nose piece now. It's the colored nose piece now. Color coordinated with your uniform. A lot of guys
do
just
that with magic markers and crayons in the dressing room, I guess.
They must. I mean, a lot of guys just wear that plain old beige one, but now we're getting a little more artistic with some of these things.
Here's what's happened to the Tiger Cats' last 5 possessions, 4 punts and a fumble. Pirates with 1:55 to add something to the total. Basinger makes the catch right at midfield.
And every
wrapped up by Robinson.
Sorry, John. Every once in a while, both these defenses, which are so similar and only rushing 4, dropping 8, you're going to get those good shots into the seam. And Tolliver saw it right away on first down with Hamilton and hit Basinger quite easily.
16-yard gain, first down, Pirates. Tolliver with time out of the shotgun. Looking for Basinger again, and he makes the catch. Just inside the 30. Basinger in front of Gary Lewis. Back-to-back for Basinger.
And that's a heck of a catch. He really fights Gary Lewis for this football. And, you know, you have a better chance when you take it at its highest point. It's like a basketball rebound. And Basinger knew enough to go up and do that and to kind of hold off Gary Lewis with his body. That's a nice catch.
24-yard gain. Tolliver now down at the Ticat 30. Definitely in scoring range with 1:30 to go to halftime. Tolliver to the left and now looks right. He has the touchdown. Martin Patton.
Tolliver to Martin Patton for the Pirates.
Second receiving touchdown of the season. And the Pirates come roaring back.
Billy Joe Tolliver had this matchup on the last play, and he came back to it. Martin Patton on Rob Hitchcock, and Patton went the out and up, and there you see the distance, and he was able to get in behind Rob Hitchcock and make that touchdown catch. And all of a sudden, you know, a couple of catches to Basinger, now the long one to Patton. I said Hamilton and let Shreveport get back into it. They're 1 point away from a tie game.
And Nitmo has the Pirates back to even. 13-13. Ticats scored a touchdown in the opening drive, added 2 field goals for a 13-0 lead. Pirates came back with a couple of Nitmo field goals, and then the touchdown toss to that man right there, Martin Patton.
We'll see y'all next week, Birmingham.
I'm not sure this game's being shown in Birmingham. Martin Patton doesn't know that. Nice throw by Billy Tolliver. He looked the other way, but he knew what he had backside, and when he came back to it, his eyes lit up when he saw Patton had been able to get behind Rob Hitchcock so easily. Patton, about halfway down the sideline, hesitated just a touch. That froze Hitchcock. Then he turned it on into the end zone. But to Tolliver's credit, you saw him look off to the wide side of the field and know what he had backside and then come back to it.
Back up, let him work. Back up, let him work.
Tolliver's 12th touchdown toss of the season.
You know, as a quarterback, every once in a while, you have to be a bit of an actor, too, and tried to let the defense think he was going wide side and then came back short side with the good matchup.
Don Southern has watched a 13-0 lead slip away. He is not going to be a happy guy in the dressing room about 1:24 from now. Unless the Tiger can't score, and here's a guy who can go all the way, has once this season. Sam Rogers, not this time.
But John, you've seen the flow of this game shift in a hurry. Hamilton has lost their momentum, and all of a sudden, Shreveport has really picked it up. Only took 2 receptions by Basinger and 1 for Patton, and all of a sudden, you're in the end zone, and 70 yards later, only 31 seconds. But boy, oh boy, Hamilton has let this game slip away. Those are great numbers, but it doesn't mean a heck of a lot right now when you're involved in a 13-13 tie. You've lost the momentum of this game, and you have to try and get it back somehow.
And the Ticats will begin inside the 20-yard line with 1:19 on the clock. This is Kalen Hall. No room to the outside, or at least not quite enough for a first down. Hall is wrapped up by Carlton Johnson. Gain is 6 yards.
Federal Express is proud to be the official courier of the Canadian football.
Forrest Gregg with 92 wins, 143 losses, and 2 ties. And his all-time coaching log.
How about it, Pirates fans? Let's pump it up.
Ticats looking at 2nd and 4. And 1:01 till halftime. Taylor out across the 30 as Manny Hazard. Hazard was wrapped up by Joe Monfort, number 45. It'll be enough for the first down for the Tiger Cats. 7 yards for Hazard, shaken up early in the opening quarter. He's been back to make a couple of catches since.
And if nothing else, by picking up that first down, you see the clock running. At least Hamilton has bought themselves some time and probably won't have to give Shreveport a chance had they been pinned deep in their own territory.
Taylor for Earl Winfield made the catch, and Nash was right with him to force him out.
Well, I don't know. They're going to call roughing here on Harold Nash. I got a bit of a problem with this one. You know, Winfield's going to make the catch, and maybe they're throwing the flag that he was out of bounds and came back in. That could be it, too, because they had the roll-up coverage, and Carlton Johnson was trying to force him out to the outside, and I think that's maybe what they're looking at.
We'll know soon enough.
I think that's what they called out of bounds and come back in.
Illegal participation. Hamilton number 1. Repeat first down.
That's a good job by the corner, Carlton Johnson. He pushed Winfield out of bounds when he was going to let him go deep into the zone. And then, of course, Harold Nash is supposed to pick him up deep, which he does. And although Winfield makes the nice catch in bounds, you can't leave the field of play and come back and participate.
At least under your own steam.
Well, that's illegal participation, as Don Ellis told you. I like that. It's a fancy way of saying you can't go out of bounds and come back in.
Absolutely. First down and a bunch for the Tiger Cats. Drop play to Kalen Hall. And the Pirates weren't fooled.
And the Pirates ought to be taking their timeout maybe right here because, and I think that's what they're going to do. They do take that timeout because this is where you want Hamilton to, have
Timeout
to
called.
take no
Shreveport.
time off the clock with 29 seconds to go. And then if they don't make it, chances are you're going to force them to punt and still have a shot maybe to field goal. But you take the timeout right now at this point.
Rather than waste the time on the return or let the Tiger Cats take it off the board.
Solid coaching by Forrest Gregg. He knows the situation, and this was the best one to do.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers are chasing the Ticats for that 4th playoff spot in the North Division.
Well, I think you'd have to like Winnipeg's chances of maybe getting that 5th and final playoff spot and the right to go down and play against most likely Baltimore in the Southern Conference.
Toronto for a couple, then Ottawa. Saskatchewan's road is a little tougher. A couple against Calgary and one against BC. Here's Kalen Hall on 2nd down.
Well, John, this goes back to good coaching now. I mean, they're going to let the time run down. There's 25 seconds to go, so by the time they kick it, there's probably going to be about 6 or 7 seconds. And if somehow it's not a great punt and they can stop it right away, this good coaching and the critical time to take the timeout may allow Bjorn Nitmo to come in and kick a field goal to give them the lead at halftime.
And looking at the Tiger Cats punting so far this afternoon, it hasn't been all that solid. Hank Olisic back in the lineup after missing most of the season. Stands back at his 10-yard line. He's had a 26-yarder for 1 this afternoon.
Well, here's where, as a punter, you've got to let that time run right down to its last possible second before you signal your center, Blaine Schmidt, for that snap. They did a good job. He's kicking it with 6 seconds.
And he got good hang time on this one, too. Covington won't have much of a play far side.
So that's a good play by Forrest Gregg, and it's an even better play by Hank Olisic to work the clock and get a good kickoff. And that's good, solid play in the final minute of this first half.
Hank unloaded a 45-yarder to finish off the opening half. And what started off so superbly for the Tiger Cats in a 13-0 lead has evaporated to nothing more than a 13-13 tie at the half. Send you back for the McDonald's halftime show and Darren DeTish.
McDonald's Halftime, presented by your local McDonald's restaurant. Here's Darren DeTish.
Welcome to McDonald's Halftime. Tied with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for the 5th and final playoff spot, the Saskatchewan Roughriders were in Baltimore this afternoon, finishing up a home-and-home series in what was an integral game for Ray Yock's Riders. Now, they came out storming in this game. They jumped out to the early lead. It was 17-0. Baltimore needed a big play. They get one. Alvin Walton will block Brent Matich's punt. Matich goes back, gives it another try. He gets a pretty good one away, but watch Chris Wright back for the return. 3rd in the CFL in all-purpose yards. He'll cut across field, then up the sideline, picks up some blocks. He'll find the holes, and he's gone. 90 yards for the major. It was 17-7. Baltimore trailing at the half. 3rd quarter, Stallions chipping away at the Riders, down 17-16. Ham to the former Bomber. Gerald Elfin in the end zone. He'll make the catch. Baltimore leads for the first time, 23-17. Green Riders don't roll over. 4th quarter, Jones will go to Dan Farthing. Nice catch. Saskatchewan back up, 24-23. Riders looking to extend the lead, but Ridgeway is wide. Chris Wright is going to bring it up. Do you think maybe? Great speed, nice spin move on Ridgeway. He takes it down to Saskatchewan's 29-yard line. A 95-yard return. That would lead to a Carlos Huerta field goal. 26-24 Baltimore. This one isn't over yet. Jones to Mims. He flips it back. Jones to Albert Turner. He goes down to the 4-yard line. The Riders would take a field goal. They retake the lead. 5 seconds left, though. Huerta nails the 21-yarder for the second straight week. The Stallions pull out in a victory in the dying seconds from Saskatchewan. A crushing loss for the Green Riders. Pringle with a big day. 21 carries, 171 yards. Carlos Huerta with 5 field goals in the football game. The Stallions have now won 7 straight at Memorial Stadium. 16 points in the third quarter of play. Boy, that's a big break for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And tomorrow, the Blue Bombers, coming off their rather huge win over Hamilton last week, are in Toronto. The Argos have lost 9 straight games. Things have gone from bad to worse for the Boatmen. More on them in a moment. Cal Murphy's team, following tomorrow's game, will finish up the season with 2 home games. The Argos next week in Winnipeg. Then after a week off, the Ottawa Rough Riders. The schedule definitely favors Winnipeg as they remain tied at this present time with the Saskatchewan Rough Riders for the final playoff spot in the North Division. Back to the Argos. Rookie Canadian linebacker Sheldon Benoit is expected to start for Toronto tomorrow as Jermaine Younger has been suspended indefinitely. Younger hit assistant equipment manager Jason Calero during a practice on Thursday. He's been reprimanded by coach and GM Bob Obilovich. Meanwhile, Calvin Tagle, who was penciled in to replace Younger, failed to show up for an afternoon practice. It puzzled Ovi, so Benoit gets the call. From the bad news, we go to the good news. Doug Flutie, he might be back for the postseason with the Calgary Stampeders. Flutie, who had surgery 1 month ago on a torn flexor tendon in his throwing arm, will have the arm examined next week by Dr. Frank Jobe in Los Angeles. Originally, it was thought he would be out for 4 months, but Doug says it feels great. Stamps head coach Wally Buono cautiously optimistic. Meanwhile, Jeff Garcia, he has not missed a beat. The Stamps 6-0 with Garcia as a starter. He's thrown for over 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. Tomorrow, he'll take aim at the Lions. BC's 9-5, 1 win back of the second-place Edmonton Eskimos, who have the week off. In a Southern clash, the Texans have won 5 straight. They're in Birmingham with 16 points. The Barracudas just 2 points up on Memphis, hanging on to the third and final playoff spot in the South Division. While the Mad Dogs are home to the Ottawa Rough Riders, Damon Allen and company, they have to win this game. After all, Ottawa just 2-12 on the season. Okay, we'll take ourselves a short break. When McDonald's halftime returns, life on the sidelines in the CFL, we leave you with the North and South standings. Stay tuned.
McDonald's Halftime, brought to you by your local McDonald's restaurant.
Welcome back to McDonald's Halftime. I'm sure Hamilton head coach Don Southern, the Hall of Famer, had a few choice words for his team. You know, they rattled off 13 points in their first 3 possessions, but they've been shut out since then. Kalen Hall, they wanted to get him into the offense. 115 yards total offense. He's doing his job. So are Bjorn Nitmo and Ozzie, both with 2 field goals apiece. Patton, 14th touchdown of the year. He's got 12 rushing TDs, 2 receiving touchdowns. He's 3 back of the CFL leader, Corey Philpott of the BC Lions. Let's head back to Shreveport for their thoughts on the first half and what was a pretty entertaining half. Here's John and Leif.
All right, Darren, an interesting football game to say the least. All Hamilton, as you mentioned, in the first quarter where they scored 13, and then Shreveport comes back and gets even with 13 points in the second.
It's really been a funny game. It's like 2 different halves each quarter. You know, Hamilton starts off, they have 161 yards in the first quarter and then only 75 yards of offense in the second. And Shreveport was asleep in the first quarter, only 38 yards, and then they come back with 116. So both teams really took turns dominating each other. So we're at halftime, scores tied. Should be a heck of a second half.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a pretty good wake-up call in the Tiger Cat dressing room as Don Southern talked to the Tiger Cats after blowing a 13-0 lead. Should be an interesting second half in Shreveport.
Thanks very much, John and Leif. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll kick off the third quarter.
Independence Stadium in Shreveport as the band's still on the field with the Tiger Cats and the Pirates even at 13. Interesting stat story from the opening half. 11 first downs for the Tiger Cats compared to 7, and in turnovers, the Pirates had 2 and the Tiger Cats 1.
John, you know what I think is interesting to me is to look at the rushing yards of Shreveport. I mean, that's exactly what Hamilton wanted to do to them. They wanted to control them on the ground, and they did that, and yet Shreveport came up with 139 yards passing, mostly in the second quarter, to tie this game up. So if you're Hamilton, you go into the locker room, you say, hey, defensively, we kind of did what we want. We just let them get away with too many passing yards. Basinger with some big catches, and then Martin Patton with a touchdown catch. And for Steve Taylor, if in fact he starts this second half, he has to somehow recapture the momentum. They came right out of the gate flying, and all of a sudden have gone flatter than a pancake. So we'll see how both teams react after halftime.
Taylor versus Tolliver. Here's how they stacked up. 190 yards for Steve Taylor, most in the opening quarter. 139 for Tolliver. Both threw a touchdown. Tolliver threw a couple of interceptions.
Tolliver made some great reads, though. He made good decisions on when to throw underneath, when he had opportunities to throw over the top. And, you know, I think for him, you know, the one touchdown, and yeah, he had some interceptions, but, you know, that was a pretty flawless first half for Billy Joe Tolliver, and just about what they expect to get from that at this stage of his career in the CFL.
What do you think the Hall of Famer said at halftime?
Well, I think he told his guys to get their heads out of the rear ends because they really had an awful second quarter, and this is a team that's really fighting for their life right now. 7-7, but things have not gone well, and somehow you have to try and turn it around. They know they're a better team. They think they're a better team, but they're not playing like it right now, and something has to happen. I know Mike O'Shea not being in the lineup really hurts them. He may be back next week. It may take 2 weeks, but nevertheless, Hamilton has to have a little infusion of enthusiasm here in the second half. I didn't see that in the second quarter.
Meantime, the Pirates roared on, and this is a different Ticat team without Michael O'Shea in the lineup. 6-3 with O'Shea in the lineup, and 1-4 with Michael O'Shea not playing middle linebacker. Second half underway. And out near the 35-yard line, Sam Rogers on the return.
John, I don't think we did that graphic justice, and we'll bring it back to have a look what the impact it makes on the Hamilton team when Mike O'Shea has not played. Out of the lineup, only 1 win in the last 5 games, and the points allowed, that's 37 a game, and before that, 25 a game. So you think this guy's important? You betcha he is, and hopefully he'll be back maybe next week, most likely in 2 weeks.
Winfield to the near side. That means Thompson flanks to the far side of the field. Taylor has passed 19 times. Kalen Hall, close to 5 yards.
Kalen Hall, the ball carrier. Johnny Scott on the tackle for Shreveport.
Johnny Scott, with 3 sacks on the season, made the tackle on Kalen Hall. He missed last week, back in the lineup this time. Over 100 all-purpose yards.
See those rushing yards, 64. There has yet to be a Hamilton Tiger Cat running back this year to have a 100-yard game. And I said to Don Southern today before the game, Sudsy, I said, if your team rushes for over 100 yards as a team, I think you have a good chance to win the ball game. He agreed with that. And Kalen Hall, with those 64 yards, has a chance now to be the first back this year to go over the 100-yard mark.
Is that what happened to Dieter Brock in Hamilton? He wasn't running the football enough for Don Southern's liking?
No, I'm not so sure it was just merely running the football. He wasn't willing to change his offensive scheme. He wanted a trips receiving type offense with no 2-back offense. And, you know, now they've gone back to more 2-back offense like they're in right now. And I think Mike Farrell gave that to them. Dieter Brock just didn't want to change, so he hit the bricks.
Taylor on 2nd and 6. He has his man, but he may be a little short of the first down. Montford with a solid hit on Frank Maroff after he made the catch.
Boy, this is what zone defense does to defensive backs and linebackers. All of a sudden, you get your drop, but you can keep looking back this way, and when a receiver comes into your area, as did the receiver into Joe Montford's area, you get to come up and you can do this. See the helmet right in front? That's an awesome hit, but you can only make those kind of hits when you're in zone coverage. When you're man-to-man, very rarely do you see those kinds of hits.
Ticats will kick it away on 3rd and 1.
Boy, both these defenses are so similar in their philosophies. Rush 4, drop 8, and then come up and make the tackles.
High kick for Illicik this time, taken by Covington. Away from the first wave. Will Covington still going, and he's stopped near the 45-yard line. Caught by Maroff with Richard Nurse in the area. 30-yard return. Nice moves by Covington in his rookie season out of Troy State.
Pretty shifty moves here by Covington as he gets by a whole bunch of people and looks for some open space. Little juke right here to get by Giftopoulos.
Okay, Alan, working out.
Decent field position for the Pirates. Beginning at the 43 with a first down. Tolliver near side has Patton near the 50. Better than halfway to a first down.
Tolliver's pass is complete. Mark Patton.
Forced out by Hitchcock. 8 yards
Kroger, the
on the play.
the official grocery store of the Shreveport Pirates. Invite you to come to any of their Shreveport grocery
And that's been the key for Shreveport. The first quarter, they didn't have the ball enough times to get into a rhythm, but in the second quarter and now on this first drive of the third, they've had good second down situations.
Second and a couple as Tolliver goes back to the shotgun. Can't spot a receiver. Almost intercepted. Almost the third interception of the ball game. Don Robinson had one earlier, and he could have had another right there.
But Don Robinson just kept closing on Freeman Basinger, and the longer Tolliver waited, the faster Robinson was coming. And, you know, really, had he maybe had a little better hands, he might have had his second pick of the afternoon. It's a solid secondary for Hamilton. You know, that's why they want Tolliver to have to throw to beat them. They feel like they match up pretty well against this Shreveport receiving core, and of course, you know, with as many interceptions, second in the league as they have, they feel like they're going to make some big plays, but they let Shreveport get a lot of passing yards in that second quarter.
Winfield is deep for this third down punt by Robbie Keane. High and coming down to Winfield at the 30. He bobbled it and drew a marker at the 35.
But the key for Winfield was to come up and not let the ball hit the ground, and he knew that he'd get a chance to get this no yards penalty, and this would be a 15-yarder, I'm sure.
Osborne definitely in the area. Winfield had to catch it twice.
No yards.
Even if he
Shreveport
drops it, he knows he's going to induce that
down.
penalty. He got it. That's another valuable 15 yards for Hamilton.
It'll be Ticats 1st and 10 when we return to Louisiana.
You got enough quickness. Come back and count on
13 of 8 o'clock as the Shreveport Pirates close out their 1995 season.
Just talking it over on the Shreveport bench. Ticats with a 15-yard no yards penalty. Great field position out across the 45 at the 47, 1st and 10. Steve Taylor to his left. Now the pressure comes. Taylor stands in, fires. Maroff couldn't hang on. Shelton was covering, and he had a little help from Willie White.
Frank Maroff does a pretty solid job here. He is down, and when he comes down, he's going to run the hook, and he comes back between two Shreveport defenders now. He makes the right read here. He's trying to work now. He feels the pressure back into that hole, and Steve Taylor puts it there. I mean, that's just a tough ball to complete. You know, that goes a long way when there's two guys pretty close that can close in and make the play.
Again, the Ticats facing second and long. Scott was leading the charge. On the near side, intended for Winfield. He couldn't make it. Harold Nash was covering.
Harold Nash has had himself quite a ball game this afternoon, and when we saw him earlier in the year, teams were picking on him, but here Winfield is in a switch position where he moves in at slot back, and watch Nash come over the top right here with that right hand. I mean, that's a heck of a play by Harold Nash. And teams picked on him early in the year. I mentioned when you get down in scoring zone, you go at 0-0, but this afternoon he's been solid as a rock out there.
Another punting situation for the Tiger Cats. Illicik inside his 35. And he angles it away from Covington. Well covered by the Ticats special teams. Rogers was there. So was Hassan Bailey, number 7.
Boy, John, remember the last time these two teams played at Ivor Wynne Stadium?
We were there.
Yeah, you betcha. Anthony Cavillo came off the bench, and he threw a last-minute touchdown pass to Earl Winfield to pull that game out for the Hamilton Ticats. Shreveport had the game in control for so long, but then Forrest Gregg's team made a crucial mistake late in the game, and it was all over.
Might we see Mr. Cavillo this afternoon?
Well, I asked Don Southern, I said, you know, you're starting Steve Taylor. I mean, is this some sort of hunch that that's the way it worked out the last time? And he said, no, it's no hunch. It's just the way we want to go with our quarterbacks.
From the 17, Pirates first down. Tolliver handing out to Patton. He's got a couple. Wrapped up by Bailey. Celebrating down there.
Samuel Hairston on the tackle. We'd also like
Hairston also getting credit. No yards on the play.
Calvary Baptist Church.
When you run that counter as a defensive lineman, if you can sneak in from behind and get in there, as Samuel Hairston does, you've done a nice job. And you know, he's had a sack on a 3-man rush. Now he's had a tackle in the backfield. You know, he's making quite an impression playing for the injured Jesse Small.
2nd and 10. Tolliver unloads in a hurry, looking for Basinger. He was covered by Don Robinson. Basinger looked for a call, and now a late flag comes down.
Intended for Freeman Basinger. Don Robinson defending on the play.
Well, that's almost like the official listened to the crowd and then threw that flag. That's about the latest penalty call for an interference call that I think I've ever seen.
That one floated down to the turf about 3 seconds after the play.
No penalty will be applied as the ball is deemed to be uncatchable.
Wow,
Next down.
That's a good call regardless of what happened. It sure didn't look like a penalty. I mean, Tolliver's calling for one, but see, there's the ball right there. There's no way it can be caught, and good for the officials. They corrected the call and, you know, let the play stand the way it is. Well, Billy Joe, if you threw the ball a little bit better, you might have got the interference call.
Yeah, the ball was a little behind the intended receiver. Robinson ran right into Basinger. Tolliver thought he had it there for a split second when the marker came down, but Robbie Keane's in the ball game and punting from his 2.
So a game that's gone flat for the Ticats for almost a quarter and a half now. I mean, here's their chance to take control again. They've got Shreveport pinned deep and should get the ball in pretty good field position.
Keane's punt coming down to Rogers at the 47, across the 55, and near the 49-yard line. Ticats are in excellent position to score. After a 9-yard return, as Taylor trots back, we'll take a break and return to Shreveport. Reggie Rogers played briefly for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Now he's a Pirates. Robbie Keane got a pretty good punt away on the last play. Let's take you back and look at the punt and the return by Rogers. And really what we're listening for there with live sound or sound on tape is a big hit that Rogers absorbed.
John, as I look at this football game, one of the things that Hamilton really wanted to do offensively was to have Steve Taylor run with the football, and he just has not done it yet. He hasn't attempted one rush. Yeah, he's avoided the rush nicely a few times, but in chatting with Don Southern and Mike Farragelli, the new offensive coordinator, they felt like he really had to give this offense that intangible, but has yet to do so, and I think it's about time he started.
Ticats have great field position at the 51, and here goes Taylor taking off. Little quarterback draws. He went right around the guard on the right side, and exactly what you were talking about, Lever.
Well, I think they have to get into this kind of a mode because he is a talented runner, and when you run the option, here comes Johnny Scott. He's the guy you try and freeze, and all of a sudden he's caught in no man's land. He doesn't know where to go, and the little fake pitch, and Steve Taylor has some positive yards. You know, you pick up almost 7. Now you're in a good second down situation, and you've done it yourself with your own running.
We'll call this 2nd and 4, and Kalen Hall had nowhere to go, wrapped up by Reggie Rogers, with a little support from Will White, number 22.
Well, one thing Shreveport's defensive line does well is get upfield in a hurry, and Johnny Scott, 72, and Reggie Rogers and Ben Williams, they all do it nicely, and when you do that, your linebackers can come over the top in these short yardage kind of situations and make some plays. Joe Montfort was right there to help out.
Ticats can't do a thing with great field position. Osbaldiston will be called on to hit from outside the 50.
I think he's maxing out at this range.
Longest of the season is exactly 50. This is from 51. And this one is wide.
Boy, he sure nailed it. I mean, he had plenty of room. He could have made that one from 60. He just, you know, when you give it that little extra, sometimes you hook it, and he hooked it just slightly left.
So the Ticats have a 1-point lead and a long single by Paul Osbaldiston.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, you know, there's no wind here today in Shreveport, so at least you know as a coach, if you get down to a last-second kick, I mean, your kicker's got a chance to make one from midfield. So although they don't make the kick, at least you know that he has the range today. He's trying to squeeze that one in. And
he can't push it over quite far enough. Last 9 possessions for the Tiger Cats, 7 punts, 1 fumble, and the single point you saw there.
Of course, the bad news, when you miss from that far away, the receiving team has the option to bring it back out to the line of scrimmage, which was the 45, so this is a pretty nice place to start.
Little play action by Tolliver, time to throw as well, and he's on target for Wayne Walker, number 80. First catch for Walker.
He had one earlier, but it was called back by a penalty. But now with the play action, he has a chance to run that hook route a little deeper. He goes down about 19 yards and then brings it back to the quarterback. But when you run play action, you have a chance to lengthen those routes out a little bit. And that was a good one by Wayne Walker, a guy that's been inactive today that every once in a while will make that catch with a long bomb in behind you.
15 yards sets the Pirates up at the Ticat 50 now. Patton gets the call. Martin Patton. Better than halfway to a first down for the Pirates.
One of the things Hamilton wanted to do today, backside against the run, was to have their end squeezed down. But you see, when Wilkins does that, Martin Patton has the ability to cut it back outside. So although they're running the scheme they want to, they get just pushed out of the way, and Shreveport gets positive yardage on first down. But that's the scheme they want. It just kind of backfired.
8 yards to be exact. This is 2nd and 2. Tolliver unloaded in a hurry. Basinger took a pretty good hit from Don Robinson.
Don Robinson's had himself a heck of a game. He just made the last tackle. He had an interception, almost had his second, and now he comes up and plants his helmet right on the tailbone of Freeman Basinger. And don't think Basinger's not going to remember that one for the rest of the game.
Number 16 wins that collision down there.
Well, it's surprising to me, you know, you've run the ball on first down and got 8 yards, 2nd and 2. For a team that likes to run, I don't know why you throw. And they've done this a few times today in 2nd and short situations. So they're really going away from the things that they normally do and normally do well.
Bjorn Nitmo is in. Good on 35 of 40 on the season. That's 2 for 2 today. Keene will spot it at the 49, and Nitmo is under it.
Oh, he nailed it.
And he's got it. Pirates have the lead for the first time. Nitmo winning a kicking duel with Osbaldiston so far. Bjorn Nitmo, 3 for 3. The Pirates on top by a couple.
CFL Live, brought to you in part by NGK Spark Plugs, the spark of genius. And by Dodge Trucks, Canada's truck stop.
Bjorn Nitmo has given the Pirates the lead for the first time this afternoon. It's 16-14. He connected on a 49-yard field goal, 36 of 41 on the season. His longest 55, and the percentage keeps climbing up this afternoon. He started around 86.
He's done a nice job. You know, you look at kickers around the league and who has the strongest leg. I have a feeling that Bjorn Nitmo might have the strongest leg, and he might have the worst looking hat. And all I can say is that's got to be his lucky hat, because that has been through a few wars and mud and
he has
dirt.
had it for a while. There's little doubt about it.
Side. Give it to me after the game. I can't do it
He's
now.
not tall enough to reach up and get that paper.
They're looking for autographs. Ticats First and 10, 35. Taylor missed his target, looking for Frank Maroff. And Taylor started so brilliantly, engineering a drive the very first time he got his hands on the football and ending up in the end zone, albeit on a bit of a break. He found Kalen Hall for 55 yards, and then Thompson carried it the rest of the way for the touchdown.
And this is where Don Southern has to be thinking maybe change. I mean, Taylor's in there because he gives you some running ability, but if he's not going to use it, then maybe you may think of going to the pure passer, which is Cavillo.
For Winfield, and he's off target again.
And I think this might be Steve Taylor's last series, you know. At some point in time, you know, you like to give a guy the chance to show you he can get the job done, but for a quarter and a half and more now, Steve Taylor has gone cold. And if he's not going to run, I go to the other guy. I mean, that's not a good throw right there.
Only one completion for Taylor in the second half, Leaf.
So if I'm Don Southern, and you don't like to second guess any coaches, but I get AC right there, Anthony Cavillo, I get his right arm warmed up, and I think I maybe make a shot at switching my quarterbacks. You can always come back to Taylor if he'll run.
Alisic went down after booming a punt, but there's no marker down. 45-yarder and no return on the Alisic kick. Watch again here, Leaf.
Well, Kim Phillips, 26, comes free right up the middle. This thing should have been blocked. They're lucky, but to Alisic's credit, see how he kicked it away from the rush? No, I don't think that's roughing.
Alisic actually fell on top of Phillips.
But I don't know if you noticed the subtle thing that Alisic did. He saw it coming, and he kicked it left so it wouldn't be blocked. I mean, after 19 years in the league, you learn how to do these little things. And he made a great play before the second quarter ended to make sure Shreveport wouldn't have any time on the clock, and now he made another one.
Pirates beginning at the 30, leading by a couple. Tolliver under the cover for Bradford. And after the reception, Bradford makes the play for the first down. Stopped by Gary Lewis. It's 11 yards. For number 2, Norman Bradford.
Well, Billy Joe Tolliver's done a terrific job with this particular pass pattern. I mean, this is the last guy he wants to throw to is Norman Bradford, but when everybody keeps dropping deep, as Hamilton seems to want to do, this is where you have to go. And Bradford has a lot of room before any Hamilton Ticat defender even gets near him. So for Tolliver, it's smart. It's not what you want to always do as a quarterback, but it's the smart thing.
This is Martin Patton, number 5, on first down. He grabs 5 before being forced back. Keith Embry was in on it, and Mike Campbell.
You know, John, when you look at Billy Joe Tolliver, and sometimes this separates quarterbacks, who has the maturity factor? I mean, Tolliver has, you know, NFL experience for 7 years, so, I mean, he's a guy that can remain patient. He knows, hey, he's the first guy that'd like to be throwing long bombs in those 15 to 20-yard patterns, but if the defense is going to tell you to throw underneath, you have to keep doing it, and he's shown a lot of maturity here.
On second down and 5, Tolliver almost had it intercepted. It came down in Bradford's hands, but it was tipped.
The Pirates staff and management thanks the Pirates fans for your support.
Pirates trailed 13-0 at one stage. They now have a 2-point lead at 16-14.
I'm trying to check over in that Hamilton sidelines and see if Anthony Cavillo was ever warming up, and I don't think he did, so obviously Steve Taylor's going to get a chance at another series.
Rogers is deep. Robbie Keane standing at his 30. High. Rogers comes up to the 25. Surrounded there. Bradford was the first tackler there, and the Pirates are saying it came loose. Apparently not. Taylor will get another crack at it. As mentioned, just one completion in the second half, and 3 minutes, 11 seconds remain in the third quarter. He started off with a real hot hand.
Wow, one time I remember him at 8 for 9, and things were going pretty smoothly, but all of a sudden, you know, they've gone cold.
Ticats from the 33, first down. Taylor shotgun, far side, he's on target. Larry Thompson. Thompson makes a pretty good run after the reception.
Taylor's pass is complete. Larry Thompson.
That's a good read by Steve Taylor, and here's what he's looking at. He sees the corner Brandon Hamilton out here like this, and when you've got this much room in here, you might as well go ahead and throw that short hitch pass because it's an easy ball to complete, and there it is to Larry Thompson, and he gets some running room after it.
First down, second half for the Tiger Cats, a 12-yard gain. Here's another one. This Maroff, number 82. Maroff wrapped up by Joe Montford.
So all of a sudden, when the pressure's really on Steve Taylor to get something going, he makes a couple of good reads in a row, and he completes a couple of nice passes. Shreveport sitting back in his zone, and you know his receivers are finding the soft spots. That time Maroff found it nicely.
Back-to-back 12-yard gains. Almost another one. Kalen Hall had an opportunity to make the catch.
That ball really had to be rifled to get it between the linebackers, between Shelton and Chris Zingo, the middle linebacker. There you see, and Kalen Hall just couldn't come up with the catch. But I mean, that was the right spot to go. That was a tough catch, though. That's probably the hardest ball Steve Taylor's thrown today.
Ticats at the 53 of the Pirates, facing 2nd and 10. Taylor looks one way and then looked into double coverage. Harold Nash was there to take it away from Manny Hazard. And Harold thinks he might have had the interception. And he might well have.
Wow, he had some great coverage on Manny Hazard. Harold Nash is having himself a terrific ball game this afternoon. To the left of your screen, he will come into it, and as Hazard looks like he might make the catch, Nash closed so quickly with great acceleration to come underneath and make the play. And yeah, he's excited. He had a tough first half of the season, but all of a sudden he's matured and he's playing a lot better football for Steve Dennis's defense.
3 interceptions on the season for Harold Nash. And 2 players down, one from the Ticats and one from the Pirates. That's Joe Montford, number 45. And tough to pick out that number.
I think it's Manny Hazard.
Calvillo talking it over with Don Southern.
He's probably saying, Coach,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Well, it's the Tiger Cats standing fourth, and it looks like a rather comfortable situation right now with the Ticats having 4 games to go, including this one this afternoon. Saskatchewan and Winnipeg are chasing, both at 5 and 10.
Well, we saw Winnipeg with an easy schedule. Saskatchewan's schedule for the final 3 games,
doesn't look very comfy, does it?
It does not look very good to have Calgary back-to-back and finish off in Vancouver. And I suspect that final game for Vancouver will be pretty important to them as to whether they may finish 2nd or 3rd and have home field advantage in the playoffs.
Covington deep. Here's Hank Olysyk's view of things. High towering kick aimed to the sidelines. Covington misplayed it and it rolled out of bounds. It turns out perfectly for Olysyk, who was heading it for the sidelines and ended up with a pretty good angle on it. 46-yard punt.
And that's the reason why Don Southern made the change. 46 yards, lots of hang time and no return, and the ability to kick it to a particular spot.
Even if Covington didn't fumble the ball, he really had nowhere to go. So Tolliver will start deep in Shreveport territory, just across the 5-yard line.
Well, you know, Hamilton's had some terrific opportunities in this 3rd quarter to turn the game around as a result of field position. And here's another one of those chances with Shreveport starting on their own 6.
Tim Brown starting in the middle for the 6th time for the injured Michael O'Shea. Patton breaks one, and he'll get a key first down for the Pirates. Gary Lewis, 17, made the tackle. 11 yards the gain.
Chris Dawson is the center playing his first game now. He's going to give the snap to Tolliver, but watch how he comes around and leads the hole up through for Martin Patton. Dawson coming directly from the Jacksonville camp in the NFL, and what a terrific block that was on Tim Brown, the middle linebacker. I mean, as he comes up through the hole, he's searching for the middle linebacker. He found him and made a heck of a hit on him.
Pirates first down. Patton again. And Martin Patton better than halfway to another first down for Shreveport. 9 yards the gain. And Tim Brown makes the tackle.
All of a sudden, Chris Dawson, I mean, this is back-to-backers. Watch here, he's double teamed, and then he'll chip off and make another block. So here's the double team. Boom, now you chip off with the right guard, Chuck Reed, and you open up another huge hole for Patton. So, you know, when it was crunch time, you're backed up, 2 running plays, and all of a sudden they're out to the 26-yard line.
This is 2nd and 1. Patton has the first down. Grabbed from behind by Brown. And Hitchcock is also in there, as well as Keith Embry. That should be the end of the 3rd quarter, with the Pirates roaring back to take the lead. It's a 2-point ball game with 15 minutes to go. Ready to begin the 4th quarter in a game the Tiger Cats are desperate to win, but they've let things slip away. Pirates were down 13-0 and now have the lead.
Well, and they've done it with some hard running. I mean, 3 running plays in a row, and they've gone from their 6 out to their 30. That's production on the ground.
First down, Shreveport. Play action, Tolliver standing in. He's got Basinger out near midfield. Basinger has made all the catches today. 23 yards for Basinger. Stopped by Roger Hennig.
Boy, you get into that play action. You got 3 good running plays. Now you get Tim Brown stuck right up in there, and you can throw over his head. See that? Over top of the linebackers. 3 good rushes. Now you go to play action, and that's a nice job by the Shreveport offense to take advantage of the running game using the pass.
After a 23-yard pickup, Pirates just shy of midfield and nowhere to go for Martin Patton that time. Met right in the hole for a loss of 1. 3rd quarter stats look like this. 222 yards total offense for the Pirates, 276 for the Ticats. Pirates have turned it over a couple of times, 1 more than Hamilton.
I'd have to check with our statistician, David Moyer, but those 276 for Hamilton, I mean, I think they only had about 25, 30 yards in that 3rd quarter total. I'm going to find out and check on that one, but that looked like Hamilton had a pretty slow 3rd quarter there offensively.
Tolliver looks at 2nd and 11. Faked it, and he's got his man. It's Basinger again. Hennig made the stop, the safety, and Basinger's having a nice afternoon.
Well, it's the play action, John. It's freezing those Hamilton linebackers. All of a sudden, you've had success with your running game. I mean, you have to respect it. So it's the play action. You freeze the linebackers just a step, and Freeman Basinger's finding some nice spots in between the linebackers and the secondary. And, you know, here's 5 plays now, 3 solid rushes, 2 receptions by Basinger, and they're at Hamilton's 41.
12 more for Basinger, and he's on his way to 100 this afternoon. On first down, this is Curtis Mayfield near side.
Tolliver's pass is complete to Curtis Mayfield.
All of a sudden, Billy Joe Tolliver's really starting to spread it around, and Curtis Mayfield outside. And, you know, Eric Carter's kind of a guy you stay away from with 9 interceptions leading the league, but every once in a while, you still have to go out there because Mayfield's a weapon too. I know Carter's tough, and he's tough to beat, but you still have to get the ball to Mayfield somehow, and they don't switch sides as receivers, so you still have to go and find him every once in a while. Carter's having a terrific year himself.
2nd and 6, Pirates at the Ticat. 27, 37. Tolliver had that one batted down as he looked for Basinger again. Mike Campbell got a mid on this one.
Here comes Mike Campbell here. They're running a little stunt to try and get some pressure, and Campbell won't get there. He won't get there to make the play, but coming outside, he gets the hand up, and that's enough to stop this drive.
Enter Bjorn. Bjorn Nitmo good on 36 of 41 on the season. He's got a perfect afternoon going here. From 45, 27, and 49. That adds up to 3 for 3, and from 45 here, no doubt about it. This guy can kick.
He's up around 90% now.
Pirates have roared back and now have a 5-point lead. It's 19-14. With Keene holding, Bjorn Nitmo nails another one. Ticats head coach Don Southern has watched a 13-0 lead slip away. Now trails by 5, and the Ticats simply haven't moved the ball.
John, you know, I talked and I checked with our statistician, and Hamilton had 40 yards of offense in that third quarter. So, you know, you kind of wonder, and you don't want to hammer the point too many times, but, you know, you wonder how long are they going to wait.
Taylor remains in the ballgame at quarterback. Little fake there, and Taylor takes off. This is the extra dimension he brings to the Tiger Cats, and Leaf has been begging him to run this afternoon.
Well, I really have, and, you know, even at the end of that play, Anthony Shelton, the linebacker, came up to make the tackle, and Steve Taylor, you know, went helmet to helmet, and Shelton lost that one. So, hey, this is good rollout. You got the option to throw, and then you have the option to do this. Watch the end. Whoa. Hey, guess who goes backwards? It's Shelton, not Taylor. That's kind of unusual for a quarterback to be able to do that.
And the quarterback, Taylor, grabs an even 10 for a first down at the 45. Now he'll throw as a man open. That's Matty Hazard, and stopped by Carlton Johnson.
A lot of times the corners for Shreveport are rolling up in coverage to try and slow down Larry Thompson and Curtis Mayfield. And when that has happened, both Manny Hazard and Frank Maroff this afternoon have made nice little adjustments from their slot back position, just curling out into that vacated hole. You know, when the corner moves up, there's a hole to his inside, and Hamilton slot backs, to their credit, have been finding it, sitting in it, and catching some nice balls there, and, you know, pretty close to a first down on this one.
Hazard's 5th catch, he has 50 yards. And he's just shy of the first down for the Tiger Cats. Hamilton trailing by 5 at 19-14 and inches away from another Ticat first down.
Well, you see Taylor here. Now, why do you let him throw that ball? And once he makes the catch, you see, freeze it right here. See, here's the zone. There's the corner. There's the halfback, and there's the linebacker. That's the open zone I'm talking about, and Manny Hazard makes the catch there, and Frank Maroff's made a couple of catches. So if they're going to take away your wide receivers with that roll-up zone, you've got to attack that area with your slot backs.
Taylor has the first down on 2nd and inches, rolling in behind Dale Sanderson, Blaine Schmidt, and Doug Davies.
So, you know, when you look at how you attack a defense, I'm sure Mike Farragelli sitting up in the press box, he's calling all the plays through Mike Kerrigan, the backup quarterback on the sidelines. And, you know, he sees the defenses. He has an idea of what plays will work, and I'm sure he sent those plays in. On the short side, when they roll up, let's hit that soft area.
Ticats just across into Shreveport territory with a first down at the 54. Pitch to Kalen Hall. Markers are down as Hall turns the corner. Hall has a 6-yard gain pending the outcome of this infraction. Offside indicated against the Shreveport Pirates, who have the lead with 9:42 to play in the 4th quarter.
Offside, Shreveport number 75. First down repeated.
That's Reggie Rogers. Played with the Ticats in 1994. 4 games with the Pirates as well in '94 in his 2nd CFL season out of Washington. Taylor from the shotgun on 1st and 5. And Kalen Hall took a big hit from Shelton.
Yeah, I think Anthony Shelton maybe was mad from a few plays ago when the quarterback kind of drove him backwards a little bit. So he took out his frustrations on Kalen Hall as Kalen Hall tries to break the tackle. There's no way. Shelton with the big hit.
Loss of 3. So from 1st and 5, it's now 2nd and long again. Taylor stands in to the last possible second, goes looking for Thompson, and it's picked out. Hang on, he didn't hang on, but Evans did make the play. The ball hung up a little bit for Steve Taylor. Frustrations continue for Don Southern.
It's kind of unusual for Taylor here. He had a chance to step up into the pocket. I mean, there's no wind to affect this football, and with Thompson's speed, I think in those situations you have to throw it. So if anybody has a chance, it's only Larry Thompson with his speed, but that ball was underthrown enough that Bobby Evans almost had the interception.
Covington, the lone man back for Hank Olisic's kick. Olisic will step across the 45. And he angles it toward the sidelines. Out a little sooner than he would have liked, but it's inside the 30. Pirates hanging on to a 5-point lead. And Tolliver will get the ball back.
Eric Blount, he's got 9 touchdowns on the season. He can take it all the way next week. He's at Commonwealth Stadium. The Eskimos home to the Memphis Mad Dogs. As Damon Allen returns, we'll have the game for you. It's a 7:30 start local time, 9:30 start Eastern time. Eskies 10-5 on the year.
And the Eskimos rolling along, aiming for 2nd spot. They're a game ahead of the BC Lions in the north. Meanwhile, the Pirates have a 5-point lead here on the Tiger Cats. On 1st down, Travis Cosarts hasn't carried an awful lot this afternoon, running into Embry that time, number 96. Loss of a yard.
Keith Embry was the 43rd pick in that dispersal draft of Las Vegas, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, of course, acquired him, but at the number 43, you're not sure he's going to help your team that much, but coming to this team halfway through, he was in school and he decided to come back to pro football. He's made an impact for this team.
2nd and 11 facing Tolliver. And he has Norman Bradford. Good run by Bradford after he made the catch. Stopped by Tim Brown, but Bradford will come up a little short.
That's why both these defenses today are tough to beat in 2nd and long because of their style with the 4-man rush and the 8-man dropping back in coverage. So as a quarterback, when you get in that 2nd and long, it's very, very difficult to convert those 2nd down situations. And you've really seen an example of that. When the teams have had 2nd and 5 or less, they function so much better than in those 2nd and longs. And this, you know, I chatted with Steve Dennis, their defensive coordinator today, and he said the biggest problem Shreveport's had this year, they've been in a lot of close games, is they just haven't been able to close out games. They don't know how to do it yet, and here's another chance for them. We're halfway through the 4th, and they've got a 5-point lead.
Robbie Keane's kick coming down to Rogers. Rogers draws a marker, so the Ticats will get a little more yardage on a 4-yard return. And I don't think Forrest Gregg likes the call on the marker that's down on the field right now. Pirates are out of the playoffs, but there's still a lot of fight in this guy, Forrest Gregg.
Hey, we'll get you back to Shreveport in just a moment or two. On to a little baseball as the playoffs continue. The New York Yankees, Seattle Mariners. How about dandy Don Mattingly at the plate? He'll punch one through the right side. He singles in O'Neill and Williams. 3-0 for New York. It comes off the starter Chris Bosio. The Yankees lead the best of 5, 2-1. They win this contest. They're moving on.
Don Southern and the Hamilton Tiger Cats in arrears by 5 points to the Shreveport Pirates. This guy should be a pretty good head coach. He played for Woody Hayes at Ohio State. I'm speaking of Don Southern. Played for Tom Landry and Vince Lombardi when he played briefly with the Giants. In Hamilton, he played under Jim Trimble and Ralph Sazio, and in Ottawa under Frank Clare. He's learned from some of the great coaches in the game in North America. Here's Steve Taylor, and he underthrows Earl Winfield.
One of the few times that Shreveport this afternoon has brought more than 4 people. They brought 6 people that time. Very uncharacteristic for them. And they got just enough heat on Steve Taylor that he couldn't get enough on that football, and it fell a little bit short. But, you know, that's pretty interesting for Shreveport. All of a sudden, out of the blue, they come with 6 people. I don't think Hamilton was ready for it.
2nd and 10, Tiger Cats. Hamilton 46. Little pressure on Taylor here. And there's a little heat. As Taylor looked to the near sidelines and found Maroff, there's a marker down
Taylor's pass
in the middle of the field.
You know what they might be calling? An illegal chop block on Reggie Rogers. Well, they're going to call holding, but boy, they hammered Rogers too with a bit of a chop block.
That'll wipe out a 6-yard gain.
Holding. Hamilton number 66. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
It's a pretty easy one to call right here. Here's Blaine Schmidt. Here's Reggie Rogers. You watch what happens. Rogers coming hard to headbutt. Now he wants to swim outside, and as he does, the old left arm of Blaine Schmidt went up, and you know, it doesn't really matter. They didn't get enough yards for the 1st down, so they declined the penalty, and Hamilton will have to punt. But nevertheless, Blaine Schmidt, who will snap on 3rd down here, has had his hands full this afternoon with Reggie Rogers. Rogers, a very, very powerful tackle, and he gives anybody their work.
This is the 11th punt by Hank Olisic. He's been averaging 40.5. This one is low and not deep. Rolling to Covington, who slides, crossing the 33-yard line. Feet simply rolled out from underneath him after a 10-yard return. Olisic hit it for 43.
John, I think as you look at this game, you have to give a lot of credit to Shreveport's defense. They've held Hamilton to 14 points, and how have they done it? Well, they've really taken away Earl Winfield and Larry Thompson. I think if you'd asked Forrest Gregg with halfway through the 4th quarter, if these 2 receivers had only caught 5 balls for 52 yards between them, would you be happy? I think he would have given you a resounding yes. And they've done a nice job doing that. And you know, when they do that, you've got to have your slot backs have a huge day, and that just hasn't happened for Hamilton.
Pirates beginning at the 33, trying to protect a 5-point lead. Better still add to it. Wayne Walker makes the catch. Hennig is up from his safety spot, and Tim Brown is also there on the tackle.
And that's a great call on 1st down. The wide receiver screen is a great 1st down play. And even Martin Patton, who's the good runner, got out and got a block that time. So things going pretty smoothly here for Shreveport. There you see the time remaining. A real sense of urgency for Hamilton's defense to tighten up in a hurry.
Yeah, the Tiger Cats can't afford to give up a field goal now and make it an 8-point game. Tolliver on 1st down, a little play action fake. And he's chased down. Finally got it away left-handed to Norman Bradford.
That's unbelievable play. Mike Campbell had him, and somehow Billy Joe Tolliver was able to throw it left-handed. Campbell with the good pass rush. Well, you see Mike Campbell, he's going to come here, and all of a sudden Tolliver with the left hand spinning out here is able to get the ball away. You figure out how he gets this done. Well, you think he
might not have been the wisest play with Hitchcock standing right there.
But it tells me one thing, that Billy Joe Tolliver, I mean, they're not going to be in the playoffs, but he's doing everything he can to help his football team win a game, and I think he got hurt doing it.
End result, no gain. Passing yards for the Tiger Cats, 232. Tolliver, who started slowly, is leading that parade with 241. Actually, a loss of a yard here. This is 2nd and 11 now. Tolliver's shotgun. Time to throw and a little room to run. Finally let it go, and Basinger came back a little too far. So is this Cavillo time. On the other side of the field as Tolliver heads to the bench. Well, Don Southern make a change.
Certainly easy to sit up here and do all the coaching, but I have to think that this is the time with 4:41 to go to maybe make a switch to Anthony Cavillo. And there's no indication that that's going to happen. I haven't seen Cavilla warming up, so most likely it still will be Steve Taylor. You know, it's funny, I checked with Norm Miller, the communications director of the Ticats, at a commercial break to see if, in fact, Anthony Cavilla was 100% healthy, and you know, he said to his knowledge he was. So, you know, that is not the reason why he hasn't come into the football game.
Rogers is deep for this punt, and it's a high, towering drive by Robbie Keane. Sam Rogers near the 15. He's across the 20 for about 8 yards on the return. A 52-yarder. And it looks like it might be Anthony's turn.
So here he is, number 13, Anthony Cavilla, gets to come into the football game and try and pull out the same sort of magic that he did when Shreveport visited Hamilton earlier in the season. That's what he has done on the year. All those numbers translate into 55%. His problem is he's been just throwing too many interceptions, throwing a lot of touchdowns.
But just as many interceptions. Yeah. He's 19 and 19 in that department. So with 4:07 to go, the Ticats down by 5. Beginning at the 2-yard line with Anthony Cavilla in. And his first toss is intercepted. Great interception by Anthony Shelton, or Will White, rather, number 22. 20th interception of the season, and the safety, Will White, comes up with it.
And Anthony Cavilla has a penchant for wanting to come in and make the impact play right off the bat. He goes deep, as he loves to do, but simply overthrows Kalen Hall, and Will White, with his first interception of the year, is sitting there waiting for it. And Shreveport Pirates, give them credit. They have made the bigger plays of the two teams on the field this afternoon.
Will White had to make a great catch to pull down his first interception. He's being cheered on the sidelines, and that evens the turnovers at 2-2.
He turned into a receiver on that play because there was no way Kalen Hall could get there or try and break it up, and all of a sudden Will White was the receiver.
Pirates with a chance to win now, as Bradford gets the call away from one, can't get completely free of Tim Brown, number 52.
But still, when it looked as though they had a chance to tackle him near or close to the line of scrimmage, all of a sudden Bradford has picked up a solid 6 yards. Yeah.
And what Bjorn is thinking about on the sidelines is a 5-for-5 day.
And they haven't all been chip shots, as you can see.
And if Nitmo gets a chance, that would make it really difficult on the Tiger Cats if he connects. 2:52 to go. 2nd and 3 Pirates. They're in Nitmo's range already. And Patton broke free. He'll have a first down. Samuel Hairston, solid game, but he couldn't stop the run that time. Tolliver has brought the Pirates back. He has a 5-point lead with less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Martin Patton having a pretty good afternoon for the Pirates. 64 yards rushing, 38 yards receiving, 102 all-purpose yards.
And he makes Tim Brown, the middle linebacker, miss. 52. Brown has a chance at the line of scrimmage. He gets into the hole right there, but somehow can't wrap up. And Martin Patton, with some extra effort, picks up that first down.
Averaging 5.2 yards a carry through his career in Shreveport this year. He was on the Saskatchewan practice roster in 1993.
I think what Martin Patton gives you is a guy that has durability. He has played in every game for the Pirates this year, and there's not too many running backs around the league that can say that. In an 18-game schedule, it's almost impossible to do it, but somehow Martin Patton has not missed a game this year and given Shreveport a lot of good service.
2 minutes and 25 seconds to go. Pirates 1st and 10. Just inside the Ticat 35. Play action, Tolliver. Bradford is wide open. He's gone. 34-yard touchdown. And Tolliver knew he had him. Bradford.
Here's Norman Bradford here. When they fake the patent, everybody comes this way, and a beautifully executed play action. You got Johnny Scott, the tackle, defensive tackle. He's wide open downfield, but I think it was a better choice throwing to Norman Bradford. A little more reliable, although Johnny Scott probably wouldn't agree with you. He was open too, but what a terrifically executed play by Billy Joe Tolliver in that Shreveport offense.
Well, Tolliver's done a masterful job since the Pirates spotted the Ticats a 13-0 lead in the opening quarter.
Well, they've had success with play action all day long, and you know, this is a well-executed play, well-designed and used in the perfect situation.
And Bradford coasted to the end zone for his second receiving touchdown of the season. Ticats have big problems now.
I'm not so sure if Shreveport doesn't look like a 4-11 team today, or Hamilton's let them look like a better team than they are. I mean, Shreveport has played well, but Don Southern's team, who he thought would really come up with a good effort today, just hasn't been equal to the task. I'm really surprised by Hamilton's effort, and I suspect Don Southern is too.
At one point, the Ticats had a 7-4 record. They lost 3 in a row, and this looks like their 4th straight loss. Trailing 26-14 with 2:12 to go.
26-14, y'all finals.
Woo! Chuck Reed's pretty happy about that, and you know, if you've been on the Shreveport sideline this year, there hasn't been a heck of a lot to cheer about.
Had I known Chuck was going to give the score, I certainly wouldn't have there. Sam Rogers brought down by Covington. Mayfield also in there. And now markers fly. Whoa!
I think Pete Giftopoulos is going to get thrown out of this game. I think that's safe to suspect that.
A right uppercut thrown by Giftopoulos there. I didn't see who was on the receiving end.
I think it was Travis Cozart, number 24. Giftopoulos was kind of using him as a punching bag.
I count 4 penalty flags on the field.
Pete, don't start walking towards the bench. Start going the other way.
Oh, now he might have heard a little something down there. Giftopoulos was sitting merrily at 285 pounds about 4 weeks before camp started, figuring he was going to be backing up the offensive line. Tiger Cats phoned and said, no, we think you should go back to linebacker. So he lost about 45 pounds in 6 weeks.
Here it starts. You see, he's eyeballed Cozart right now. And Cozart said, hey, I'm not waiting to chat about this. And here they come, the right uppercuts. See, those are the punches that take their toll in the later rounds. Go for the midsection. This is another good one.
I think he got the face mask with that, didn't he?
Yeah, it's tough to hurt that face mask. That's what I always loved about these fights. I'm not quite sure what you accomplish in these ones, but I know one thing: when it's all over, you feel better after getting in one. I mean, I wasn't in too many, but even though you're punching, you're hitting helmets, you're hitting face masks, you're doing no damage at all, you feel better about it.
Disqualifications, Shreveport number 24 and number 39. Disqualification, Hamilton number 90. Difference of 25 yards, first down.
Chris Zingo goes out along with Cozart for the Pirates, and the Ticats lose just one. Giftopoulos. Here's a look back to see how this might have begun.
Well, there's Cozart 24. I mean, I don't quite know what he did.
Well, Bradford in it with Tim Brown there.
Yeah, he hit Tim Brown in the back. Nitmo, what's Nitmo doing? I didn't even see him.
Nitmo's in there like a pitcher in baseball when these brawls break out, right?
No, he's a little more active than that.
You're showing the Canadian refs are trying to get away.
Oh, he's looking at his hand there, Nitmo. Meanwhile, Don Southern is watching his Ticats struggle. They have fallen behind 26-14, but add the penalties together, and the Ticats still have time to save this ball game.
Well, Anthony Cavillo needs to get to into the end zone in a hurry. You see the time remaining and not a lot of it.
Cavillo stays in. Maroff can't make the catch. Stepping out of Browns. In front of Bobby Evans.
In the net, in the net.
Meanwhile, the little punch up down there overshadowing the scoring drive. It covered 3 plays and 50 yards in a time of 1:43. Pretty play here. Tolliver, wide open Bradford, and nothing but green grass in front.
And you can do that when you have a good running game. That play action has been a good weapon for Shreveport today. But if you're not running the ball, you can't run those kinds of things.
2nd and 10, and Cavillo had it tipped. Looking for Kalen Hall. Ray Savage is celebrating down there. 3rd and 10 with 1:49 to go.
So you freeze it right here. Here comes Ray Savage working on Val St. Germain, and of course, when you can't get the sack, you put those hands up and something may happen. In this case, his right hand deflected that ball away and puts Hamilton into a desperation 3rd down gamble.
Little noisier here now. Ticats gambling on 3rd and 10. Cavillo swings it to Kalen Hall out of the backfield. He's got a 1st down. Kalen Hall made the play. Cavillo got it to him, and it was all up to Hall after that.
Well, it's not the place Cavillo wanted to go with the football, but it was the only place he could go. So to his credit, he just hoped that Hall could make those extra yards and pick up the 1st down. And a nice move right here, and he gets it. And I mean, Hamilton's still got a shot at this one.
They need 2 majors to win. Cavillo goes for it all. Winfield can't come down with it. They're saying no interception, no catch.
Well, he made the interception, did Harold Nash, but he was lying on the sidelines. You know, this was a situation Anthony Cavillo just said, hey, I know it's double coverage, but I'm going to throw it up anyway and hope my guy can come up with it. And Earl Winfield, to his credit,
he had his mitts on it, didn't he?
Boy, he almost did. And that ball never did hit the ground. It hit somebody's foot, came back. But you see Nash clearly out of bounds.
Good call on Nash, who had rolled out by about 6 inches. 1:30 to go. Ticats down by 12. 2nd and 10. And this one is picked off. 2nd of the game. Tossed up. Carlton Johnson has the interception. 2nd of the game by Cavillo. Too many interceptions. That's his 21st of the season compared to 19 touchdowns. So the Pirates should be able to finish things off now.
You would think so, and you know, you always have to look at which teams make the bigger plays in the game, and that usually decides the outcome. Well, it's clear that the Shreveport Pirates have made all the big plays this afternoon. That the final one by Carlton Johnson with his interception, but the Hamilton Ticats just have not been able to get the job done.
Interesting the start they had, Leaf, isn't it? First 3 possessions, they scored on all 3. 1 touchdown, a couple of field goals, and the last 14.
And
that's been a problem.
And only 1 point on a missed field goal.
Pirates with a chance to run down what's left of the clock. 1:16 now.
Well, for Shreveport, I mean, you don't know whether they're going to be here in Shreveport next year or where they will relocate, but I know one thing. I mean, they've got some personnel to build on. You know, we talked earlier today, John, you and I, about what does this team need to really solidify it and strengthen it. I think they need some linebacking help. I think they need an impact player on defense, but certainly on offense, they've got a lot of tools and a lot of weapons, you know, to be really competitive next season.
Martin Patton again, that's back-to-back plays, and that was 2nd and about 3. Time ticks down on the Ticats. 47 seconds to make up 12 points. Virtually impossible.
And one thing that Forrest Gregg's team has that a lot of other teams, including Hamilton, would love to have is an ability to run the football on offense. And, you know, I don't care if this is a passing league or not, you still at some point in time have to run the football effectively. And you saw that today the way the Shreveport Pirates ran it well and then used play action off it well. So it makes a huge difference. When you have that ability in your offense, you have a chance to win some games.
And just enough for a first down there. So Tolliver will take his time. And Don Southern is facing his 4th straight loss. Rushing yards almost even. Patton again. No doubt about it, Leaf. The Shreveport Pirates have played better through the last 3 quarters than the Tiger Cats. And this still gives the Blue Bombers and the Saskatchewan Roughriders the opportunity to finish in 4th spot. Tiger Cats will drop to 7-8 with their 4th straight loss.
And don't forget Hamilton, you know, in their 3 remaining games will have Ottawa, BC, and Baltimore. So, I mean, they don't have an easy run. And, of course, Winnipeg, with I think Ottawa twice and Toronto once, Winnipeg's got to be sitting at home thinking, hey, we've still got a shot at that 4th playoff spot in the Northern Division.
Tolliver takes the rest of the time off the clock. He's pinned by Hitchcock. And the Pirates roar back from a 13-0 deficit for their 5th win of the season. Final score, Pirates 26 and the Tiger Cats 14.
Grey Cup 95 is almost here. If you can't get into the stadium, then get into the look. Grey Cup Direct is your ticket to the highest quality Grey Cup apparel. Call 1-800-636-4CFL right now to receive your free catalog. Capture the excitement and the style of the CFL at its best. That's 1-800-636-4235. Feel it, live it, wear it. Grey Cup 95 from Grey Cup Direct.
Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass.
Well, it came late in the 4th quarter with the Shreveport Pirates leading 19-14 on a 2nd and short situation. The play action fooled the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Norman Bradford with the reception and the touchdown, and that really sealed the game for Shreveport.
A cash donation will be made to the Canadian Coaches Association for the training and development of amateur athletes on behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass. Guaranteed the pick of the crop from coast to coast.
Welcome back to CFL Control. You know, at the midway mark of this season, the Hamilton Tiger Cats were looking like a very effective team. They had Anthony Cavillo coming off the bench and Steve Taylor starting, or vice versa, and they looked very, very impressive. Now they've dropped 4 straight games. We anticipated them finishing at the very worst 4th in the North. Now Winnipeg's sneaking up on them. This was a huge victory for the Shreveport Pirates as they play the role of the spoiler. Joining us now live from Shreveport is the quarterback, Billy Joe Tolliver. And Billy Joe, how much did you guys relish the role to play in the spoiler? You guys played a fine football game today.
Yeah, well, it was a big win for us today. You know, we were very fortunate there when Will White got the interception, and we got a pretty cheap touchdown off of a goal line formation. Norm did a good job of running in, and, you know, that's our role right now, to play the spoiler, and, you know, we just need to get it done for the rest of the season.
You know what? How disappointing was it for you as a team this year not to make the playoffs?
Well, I felt like we had a team that could get there. You know, it was pretty frustrating when we lost some close games, some games that we felt like we shouldn't have lost. But, you know, that's football, and that's part of our growing pains. We're going to have to go through it, and, you know, hopefully next year we can line up and make a run at it.
You know what? I think all the people are in place. Yourself, you had a fine season this year. You really started to grow. How difficult of a transition was it for you, Billy Joe, coming from the National Football League and trying to learn the Canadian game?
Well, the first 6 weeks of the season was pretty difficult. You know, training camp in the CFL doesn't last near as long as the NFL. And, you know, I had a lot to get used to as far as the 2 downs and then punt or, you know, the 20-second clock and the extra man on the field. But I'm starting to get used to it. And, you know, like you said, we feel like we got some players in place. We're 1 or 2 guys away. And, you know, we just need to keep playing hard and finish this year out and then get ready for next year.
Well, I like the looks of the backfield with yourself and Martin Patton in there. You go over 3,000 yards in passing this year. Patton really is a nice dimension for you to have. It makes those 2nd and short plays a lot easier for you to complete.
Yeah, he's a good running back. You know, he's probably going to be one of those backs that gets 1,000 yards for us this year if he didn't get it today. You know, we got a good 1-2 punch with him and Norman Bradford, and then Kozark coming in, and he runs a little different style than Patton, and that helps us out in the running game.
Well, you guys used that screen, and it was pretty effective, and you hit Bradford, and he goes in for the touchdown. I'm going to put you on the spot here if I can. The South Division is extremely competitive, and it's very tough. Of the teams that you have faced from the South, whom do you respect the most?
Well, defensively, I tell you, Memphis has got a very strong defensive unit. You know, of course, San Antonio's got a good defense. And, you know, when you get down here, you want to talk about building football teams, and you got two new franchises. They're going to build it with defense first. So we're going to have some strong defense down here in the South. And, you know, when we catch up with the Northern teams' offensive football, we'll give them a run for it.
Hey, you guys definitely did that today. You come up on the winning end. We appreciate it. Billy Joe Tolliver, the winning quarterback, as the Shreveport Pirates improved to 5-11 on the season. We appreciate him taking his time. The Hamilton Ticats now fall to 7-8 on the year. Let's go back to John and Leif, who are in Shreveport. And gentlemen, as I was saying earlier, not that long ago, the Ticats were looking like a real tough team. Now they've dropped 4 in a row.
This has been an incredible season to try and describe for the Tiger Cats. We saw them, 3 weeks ago, and they were 7-4 shooting for second spot. Talked about that a little bit earlier. Now they've lost 4 in a row, and I still think they can grab the 4th playoff spot and a shot at Calgary, but realistically, they've got to turn some things around.
Well, they've really struggled, John, and it's tough to pinpoint exactly what their problems are. I mean, offensively today, they started off with a terrific first quarter. They had 161 yards of total offense, and then in the final 3 quarters, only 152 yards total, with 3 turnovers. So offensively, obviously, they are struggling. And, you know, it's funny, as Darren mentioned, I kind of look at a team every year and pick out a Cinderella team in the league, and I thought it might be the Hamilton Tiger Cats this year, but after these 4 straight losses, I'm not so sure. And what Don Southern has to do, I mean, this is a tough one to figure. I mean, the defense didn't dominate the way I thought it could, and the offense is struggling, so it's back to square one.
Yeah, a little bit surprising, Darren, as we looked at this one this afternoon, particularly after the Tiger Cats had a 13-0 lead in the opening quarter. We thought they were home and cooled out already, but that wasn't the case here today.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Joining us now live from Shreveport once again is Bjorn Nitmo. He was 4 for 4 on the day. He had a fine day kicking the field goals, and he's had a fine year, as a matter of fact. One of the high percentage kickers in the Canadian Football League. And as a matter of fact, he has a couple of 55-yarders. He joins us now from Shreveport. Bjorn, let's talk a little bit about this team. You've watched it progress since the beginning of the season. I like the Shreveport Pirates and the way that they have progressed. Unfortunately, you guys will not be going to the playoffs.
Well, you know, it's really hard for us because we really came together as a team there in the middle of the season, and then we lost a few that we shouldn't have lost, and we fell apart there a little bit and came into this losing streak. You know, it's just the show of character to come back and show the people of the CFL that we're for real and that we're going to play, and we're not going to give up because we're 4-11. You know, we're going to come back and we're going to play as hard as we can for the rest of the season.
You know what? You guys did play hard today. You could have folded your tents and packed it up. You guys are not going to the postseason, but yet you go out there and beat the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Let's talk a little bit about your season itself. Have you been pretty content with the way you're kicking the ball, because you've got the percentage and you can also boot the ball a long, long ways? You have arguably perhaps the strongest leg in the CFL. You must be pleased with your play.
I'm pretty pleased with it, you know, but I'm just part of the wheel here, you know, one little cog of it, and without the other 11 guys on the field, you know, I won't do a whole lot. So, you know, we got a really good team here, and the field goal team itself is doing really well. You know, they're blocking for me, and my snapper and holder are doing a really good job. And we had a little problem in the beginning of the season with it, but, you know, after that, we took care of the business, and it's been a pretty good year for me. You know, I'm not great with it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, you have had a fine season. I think the Pirates are going to get a lot better in the upcoming years. We appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on the victory today.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
Bjorn Nitmo, once again, the winning kicker today. The Shreveport Pirates knock off the Hamilton Tiger Cats. What we'll do is we'll take ourselves a short break. When we return, it's more CFL Live on TSN. Stay tuned. We're back in a few moments. Pirates win 26-14.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you by Pepsi. Nothing else is a Pepsi. And by Bell. Advantage long-distance services from the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies.
Welcome back to CFL Control. Once again, the Shreveport Pirates are victorious this afternoon. They were down 13-0 at one point in the football game. They battled back to tie it up at 13-13 at the half. Then in the second half, they take control. The Ticats, 13 points in their first 3 possessions, but then their offense went cold. Bjorn Nitmo, 4 field goals on the day. The Pirates outscore the Ticats 26-1 in the last 3 quarters. Billy Joe Tolliver with a couple of touchdown passes in this game. He now has 13 TDs on the season. Anthony Cavillo was also brought into this contest, hopefully to bring the Ticats back, but he throws his 20th interception of the season. It proved to be a crushing blow as the Tabbies go down swinging. Make sure you join us for the CFL on TSN next Friday night. The Edmonton Eskimos, who have the week off, they're resting, preparing for the Memphis Mad Dogs. The Dogs and Damon Allen come to Commonwealth Stadium. The Eskimos fighting it out for second place in the Northern Conference. The Memphis Mad Dogs, still, they have their hopes set on a playoff shot in the South. Whether that'll happen, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Should be a good matchup. As we mentioned, Damon Allen returns to Commonwealth Stadium. You've got downtown Eddie Brown playing for the Eskimos, 9:30 start Eastern Time. That'll do it for tonight. Thanks for joining us for the Shreveport Pirates and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. For John, Leif, and myself, have yourself a good night.